Hey everyone, how's it going? First of all, give me a wave if you can see me and hear me. Can you see me? Awesome, awesome, awesome. So we've got some people that I can see, and then we've got webinar attendees. Also, we've got panelists. So some of my mentees are in the panelist group, and then webinar attendees are on the side. So we had too many registrants to have on both. So listen, I'm gonna try to call out some names. Listen, it's great to have you guys on tonight. We've got Darren, good to see you. Jack, good to see you. Becky, Kat and Dan, Spencer, good to see you. There we go. Who else do we have? We have Matt, Watley, Jane, good to see you. Adam, good to see you. Alex, going through the A's. Andrew Kurtz, good to see you. Andrew, online doc. Andrew Tuck in Holland. How are things going in Holland? Angela Batterson, awesome. Scroll down for me. So I've got a tech, one of my YouTube guy and is a master at this stuff. He's helping me today with our live launch. Erin, good to see you, Erin. Elaine, good to see you. Donald Trump, good to see you. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. There is someone's name is Donald Trump on the thing. Maybe it's there's a hidden message here. Okay, go down. Haley, good to see you. Keep going. Ian, good to see you. Jason, Ma, good to see you. John Keane, good to see you. Keep going. Lauren Cormier, good to see you. Laura, good to see you. Mike Wiggett in South Africa, good to see you. Narinda Power, good to see you. Nikos, hey Nikos, good to see you. Paul, good to see you. So it's interesting teaching into across many platforms. So just to let you guys know, we are live now across, I think, Facebook, potentially Twitter, in a few groups, and I'm live on YouTube too. So I'm just super excited to have you on board today. First of all, I've got to teach pretty quickly. I've got a lot of stuff to teach you guys tonight. I'm going to give you some campaigns. Actually, within the those of you that are joining me in the webinar, can you please, a webinar version where I can't see your faces, can you please give me a hand up, just a hand up? We've got a couple hundred right now joining us on that group. So just give me a hand up, you can hear me. Narinda, good to hear you. Jonathan, good to hear you. Adam, good to hear you. Okay, good. You can all hear and see me. Oh, awesome. Okay, great. So listen, guys, first of all, I just want to say I really appreciate you being on the live with me today on this, if you will, this webinar series. I'm really excited. We have tonight, Dr. John Demartini coming to us live tonight. What a legend, and been on The Secret, the movie The Secret, and just absolutely been a role model of mine for years and years and years. And what an amazing guy to have on live. So he's going to be sharing with us a little bit later. To start, I am going to I'm just going to run through some of the things that we're doing. So those of you that don't know, that I own and operate together with my business partner eight practices. For those of you that may be thinking, that there's a lot of mentors and coaches out there right now that potentially don't have any skin in the game, meaning they don't have bricks and mortar businesses, they're not going through the pains you have. I just want to assure you that I am exactly the same place as you. In fact, if you talk about skin in the game and risk, you'll probably, I genuinely don't know. I'm sure there is. I genuinely don't know anyone in the chiropractic profession right now, besides one or two other groups potentially. We can count them on 3 fingers on the planet who have as much skin in the game as me, which means if I don't make the stuff I'm teaching you work tonight, I'm in big trouble. So if I don't make the stuff I teach you tonight work, I'm in big trouble. It means I can't pay the bills. I can't keep my team, all those things. So that's a good position to be in. I was once taught that you always want to receive advice from the person with the most risk. And also, additionally, that the person with the most risk is always going to win. So let me share my screen with you guys. Let's crack on straight away. And as I say, I've got to teach quite quickly tonight. We've got a lot to cover. I'm going to be teaching what I truly believe is the thing that you have to do the quickest right now, which is going to be reactivations. You've got to go deep on your list right now as fast as you can. And I'll give you the updated stat in a moment. But right now, I believe we're sitting on reactivations. Let me just tell you. Okay, great. It's reactivations right now within 10 days, 1,360. 1,360. Pretty cool, right? So 1,360 people. So let me just share my screen with you guys. Okay, that's not coming up. Or am I already live? Okay, Jack, that's not coming up, that little thing there. Let's have a look. I'll just share my screen in 1 moment. Wrong Wi-Fi network. Okay, will it lose me? Yeah. Okay, guys, I might just lose you for 1 second. My computer's hopped across another Wi-Fi network, and I just need it for this to work. If I lose you, stay on board. It should be fine, but it'll pop straight back. So let me just see if I can switch across. Whenever you're doing stuff live, these things are always potential. Hold on, let's have a look. Okay, cool. Now let's see. Now if you do that, there we go. Awesome. There we go. That should work now. Okay, okay, great. So you should slowly start seeing my screen coming up in front of you. Give me, or right now it's probably blank. Now it's probably blank, so it's coming over in just 1 moment. There we go. Awesome. So, awesome. You guys can see it. Great. Guys, listen, welcome to this Lockdown to Relaunch, if you will, masterclass. It's an entire week. You know, whenever I decided to do such a big thing with regards to teaching over an entire week, there was always the risk. My concern with it always was, you know, it's hard enough to get people to show up to anything these days. But before we get going, I just want to say this. You know, it's Monday. You're here. In the US, it's the middle of the day. Some of you, it's like 6 p.m. in the evenings. And I just want to commend you for showing up. Those of you that have been in my world for a while will tell you that I'm a broken record with the following sentence. And it is: the secret to success is to show up. So I appreciate you guys. I can never ever stress how much that sentence has changed my life. The secret to success is to show up. So good job for showing up, because I promise you right now, for many of you on this webinar tonight, I promise you right now that the strategy I'm about to teach you, just this strategy, is a 6-figure strategy if you implement it. And essentially, it's not even just about this campaign, but for a lot of you, it's a 6-figure strategy, at least a strategy to get your practice even a resemblance of what it was. So tonight I've got 2 real life examples of 2 of my clients who are, I just want to be clear, they are doing records. This is records, the 2nd or 3rd or 4th week back from lockdown. So in different places in the world. That's a record ever, and records for the year, 2nd or 3rd week back. And it's a phenomenal thing to be able to say. And I'm going to give you the key to what I believe their success was. It's a boring strategy that they've been doing probably more consistently than anybody I know. I taught it to them, but the difference is they've been implementing the boring strategy for some of them, for one of them in particular, every single day. Every single day he does that one strategy that I recommended. 2 years ago, he's been doing it, and that's the reason he's been able to mobilize his list as quickly as he's been able to. So let's crack on straight away, and I'll teach you guys a little bit more. First of all, I just want to say this: I'm in the game, and I'll never forget when my business partner and I, speaking on the phone, decided that, or realized that we had to shut our doors. I'll never forget. I was late. It was like, by the time I finished here, I was the last one in the office. And my team, over 100 people at any one time. And when the 2 of us got off the phone, I remember looking around the office. We'd like been working all day, no one in the office, over 10 years of not missing a single hour in 10 years, let alone. We had done 6-figure refurbishments in all our practices and never closed a single day. Never closed a single day for 10 years across my businesses, right? So I am not adjusting full time. So just so you guys know, that I don't recommend not doing that. So I've taken many holidays. In fact, one year I almost never qualified for I had to get a visa, if you will, here in the United Kingdom, and almost never qualified because unknowingly I'd been in almost 90 days out the country on holidays and vacations. So, so that whole journey of removing yourself from the business, I've done that. And this has been a real shock to our system, because just like you, we had revenue plummet overnight, essentially legislated that I wasn't able to see clients. I wasn't able to open my doors. I wasn't able to operate and trade. Statistically, also across where my practices are, we are, let me give you an understanding, when the general public were interviewed about whether they thought we were coming out of lockdown too fast or too slow. In like the general average across the United States was about 30%. In the survey I saw, about 30% thought, 70% thought that we were coming out of lockdown too slow, right? That we need to hurry up. 30% thought the opposite, that we need to stay in lockdown. In the United Kingdom, where my practices are, 70% thought we were coming out of lockdown too slow. 70%. So you must understand that for us to have to, if you will, relaunch and get these practices up and running again in an environment that's potentially one of the most stringent on the planet with regards to the general population's thought processes, that's been a whole other psychology to have to get around. So I'll never forget that day. And it was like a quiet in the office. There was no one there. And quite frankly, it was frightening. It was absolutely frightening. To give you understanding, you must understand, our business turns over close to $7 million every single year. That is in excess, that's 6 figures every week. That's 6 figures every week. So to go from 6 figures every week to zero income, if you will, that was a real shock to the system, right? But you can't cry about these things because it's what the planet, it's what the universe dished up for us. So you can only respond. And this is how we responded. I'm going to give you the exact data right now. I'm going to give you the exact strategies right now. So on the webinar, if you're still with me, give me a hand up. If you're still with me, if you can see me, give me a wave. If you can see me, give me a hand up. Awesome. Mark, thank you. Awesome. Mike, good to see you. Wendy, good to see you. Good. Mark, good to see you. Okay. Melissa, good to see you. So here it is, guys. There is an actual formula for a crisis. So one of the number one things you have to understand through a crisis, there's a book written called The Crash Course, a very famous book, and it was written about getting through moments like this. And in the book, he said that the single biggest asset you have during a crisis is your community, right? That's the first thing he said. You better get close to a community because you can't do it by yourself. I am very close to many communities. Those that I have large mentorship groups, but I am also part of large mentorship groups. I am always paying for coaching and mentoring. And I was on a one-on-one call with one of my coaches last week. And we actually, in the teachings that we follow and in some of their mentors, there is actually a formula for danger, for crisis, and how to relaunch certain areas of your life when you're going through danger, crisis, emergence, etc. Right? And what we actually did, we studied the formula for a crisis. So here's the first thing they say within a crisis is bypass all normal habits and routines. So that's going to be like a weird thing to hear, right? So in a crisis, let's say you had a morning routine that you did every single day. And let's say you woke up and in the morning, you potentially did an hour of power. If you read Alrod's book, Miracle Morning, there's going to come a time within a crisis, and many of you that have had kids on this will understand this process. There's a portion that's a survival mode. And the first portion of getting through a crisis, and my inner circle members that are on this is actually new to me. I've just learned this, was this formula. I'll be teaching this to my inner circle members now in the next coming week, is the full formula, by the way. But the full formula says the number one strategy, the first thing you've got to do, the first part of the formula to overcome a crisis is bypass normal habits and routines. Bottom line, if you want to make this thing work or come through a crisis, you've got to do more. It's a lot more doing. It's a lot more doing or filling in the cracks. And for a lot of you, especially some of my students, they have been working their behinds off. So bottom line is do more, especially bypass normal habits and routines, which is like a weird thing to say because normally it's habits and routines that get you through the thing. But let me be clear. During a crisis, potentially bypassing your morning yoga might be the thing that you need to make this thing work. I know, I can tell you right now, my normal routines, my normal habits have gone out the water. I can tell you right now. There's absolutely no ways. I've been complete, if you will. The first part of that formula is bypass habits and routines, do more. So this is what we've been doing, all right? First thing I want to say is here's the real problem. If you've been with me for a while, you'll also know that I often say the problem is not the problem. Here's the real problem that we're dealing with today. The fact that your business is closed is not a big deal, but this is the big deal. The big deal is there's fear in the marketplace. There is genuine uncontrollable barriers to doing business. For me, it has been the biggest barriers, or there's a genuine outside force that's preventing you from mobilizing certain areas in your business. I personally have never experienced that. I've never traded ever in my life where there's a genuine outside and sometimes hostile force preventing you from doing the business, doing the thing you need to do to survive, to pay the rent, provide for your family. And that's been a really weird place for a lot of us to be in. I know when the practices closed for me, I was really battling with I don't know if I'm alone here, but when the practices first closed for me, I really battled with the following concept. And the concept was, what did I do wrong? I don't know if you guys can relate to that, right? So like, it was this battle between, surely I did something wrong, right? Now there's two ways to respond to things. Either there's two types of full 100% response or accountability. One form of accountability is that everything's your fault, and everything is your fault at the end of the day, right? But this was like a genuine outside force. The other form of accountability is that I am 100% accountable for how I respond to the outside stressor. And this is the first time in my life, honestly, first time in my life where I felt that absolute massive loss of momentum due to a unparalleled outside force, just stopping trade. I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be close to 8 months of some type of restriction to trade. And the thing is, we've got people from all over the world on this. So all of you have got different restrictions to trade. Loss of momentum, which is, I think, the most devastating thing to going through what we've gone through. It's not that we've closed, that's the challenge. It's that we're losing momentum. And loss of contact is huge. So in our business, please write these words down: frequency and consistency. Frequency and consistency are all bred from more frequency and consistency. And there's a very famous book, if you've been in the marketing world, you'll be surprised to hear this, but there's a book that a lot of marketers are told to read to learn how to market any business correctly. And you may have heard of a book called Purpose Driven Life, but there's a book called Purpose Driven Church. Okay. And it's really a marketer's guide on how you grow any, if you will, tribe. And in the book, he talks about how frequency and consistency, and how they've got a rule. The author of Purpose Driven Life and Purpose Driven Church, it was one of the first mega churches on the planet. And they will look at their show up rates, and they will measure, and they will go in depth, like you should be going in depth. I'm going to give you phase one of my strategy right now, but you should know who is a missing appointments, who's not showing up, etc. And even these mega churches, they will be able to measure those things. The first thing they'll be able to show is 3 Sundays missed. The rule is 3 Sundays missed, no Sundays ever. Think about that for a second. 3 events or 3 gatherings missed, no events ever. That's like their rule of thumb. Just like, think about that concept for a second. So now we've had to deal with the situation of some of us 8 weeks longer of, if you will, events missed. Now, how do we gather up that momentum again? I don't care how good you are. I don't care how loyal everyone is. We've had an influx of new patients just organically phoning us too, but we've got some genuine barriers coming. So next challenge is loss of support from your team. I know I found that when I wasn't able to delegate as much as I was normally able to delegate. And that was a real challenge for me, because even though we had furlough schemes all over the planet, we also lost the ability to mobilize our teams at times. Those are some of the challenges you've dealt with. Another one is capitulation of new patient avenues. I always say you should trade from a place of being able to trade, even if you lose the source of income, or the source of new patients, or the source of new patient acquisition. But what happened here is almost immediately overnight, we lost multiple forms of new patient acquisition systems, right? And here is the big one that no one's talking about: the mother of all recessions. Nothing like we've ever seen. It was the exact words of Chancellor Rishi Sunak. The exact words of, we have the mother of all recessions coming. That's 40% of furloughed people. 40%, they estimate, will not be unfurloughed, will not have a job to come back to. 40% of all small businesses are small high street businesses, if you will not be able to come back to trade as much as hard. Small. That is insane statistics, right? So the reason I'm telling you this is You know, there's two types of motivation: towards pleasure and away from pain. Often away from pain is more motivating than towards pleasure. So I absolutely need to stress that it's not business as usual. That's the only reason I'm giving you that slide, is because the worst thing you can do right now is just think, oh, well, I'm sure it's going to be fine when I come back. It's just not true. It's just not going to be the same. You can make it the same, but you have to be proactive. Remember, more doing. Now it's all about more doing in some way, shape, or form. So the worst number in business, as many of you have heard me say many times, is 1. You absolutely don't want one. You never want one type of new patient or new customer acquisition, right? Now, many of you have been asking me about how we reactivated, how we did these things. And we've got a program opening up on Saturday, which I won't talk too much about now. I think I've got 182, almost 200 people on the early notification list. We're only working with 25. But in that, I'm going to teach you how you've lost not one, you've lost 5, at least 5 new patient acquisitions all in one go, right? Number 1, no more lunch and learns. There's no freaking way. Google are not bringing anyone back to any of the offices this year. Like, don't forget, I'm in a place here in the United Kingdom called Thames Valley, which is famous for having lots of corporate environments. So we kill it with our lunch and learns. We kill it with our corporate talks. No more corporate talks. We kill it with some screenings in there. Sometimes between lunch and learns, corporate talks, and screenings, it's 10 events a week. We might be in 7 or 8 businesses a week across our different sites. We're also always doing an event at a community fair or something like that. Can't do that anymore. No more dinner with the docs. Any one week, at least 4 dinner with the docs. I genuinely think that there's nobody on the planet, and you can quote this, I don't know for a fact, but I genuinely think there's no one on the planet that's been responsible for more dinner with the docs than me. Just because we've done with 8 sites, we're doing multiple a week. Sometimes in a day, we'll do 3 or 4 in a single day. So I just want to show you that for a second. No more lunch and learns for me, by the way. No more corporate talks for me. No more screenings for me. No more dinner with the docs for me. If I've lost that, I promise you've lost that too, right? And yes, I'm not saying that there's gray. I'm sure that you might be able to get in one or two businesses, but at any scale, you're going to have a tough time to do that, depending on where you want to be in the world. Even certain online strategies are being taken away from us. Or at the very least, new patient acquisition cost is going to skyrocket for the next while. Anyway, I've seen it. I've been testing it, by the way. If our cost per leads were like $10 or something like that for certain strategies, some of those cost per leads have immediately gone to anywhere from 30 to 50. It depends on the market. We have a done for you service also, but some of the docs that I'm working with, some of them down there in London, the cost per leads have climbed very, very high, and some of them in different parts of the world their cost per leads have maintained, but it's going to be according to your market. But you absolutely should know that I truly believe that a new patient acquisition cost is going to skyrocket with certain avenues. That doesn't mean we've seen in certain aspects of online marketing that we are getting views at a cheaper rate. We're getting branding at a cheaper rate because a lot of the companies have pulled their budgets for online marketing right now, which means there's less competition in the marketplace. That is also true, but you watch those cost per leads in many of the avenues. I promise you, they're gonna increase for a while anyway, potentially making them completely unviable. And if there were really 3 things that I think you should take from this, is going to be the three events that we're doing, right? So today I'm going to talk about reactivations. On Wednesday, we've got Brian Tracy coming on, and we're going to talk about sales and conversion, and we're going to give you some strategies from some of my students also. We're going to teach with us, like tonight. And then and the last one on Saturday with Les Brown, one of my absolute legend heroes, is we're going to be talking about new patient generation, right? And we're going to have testimonials, and we're going to have strategies, and we're going to have people who are generating 60, 70 leads online, new patients right now during lockdown. We're going to teach you exactly how to do that. So those are the 3 strategies or the 3 workshops we're doing. Let me run through that again. Tonight, we've got John Demartini on a little bit later. We're talking about the lowest hanging fruit, the things that you can do right now to improve your business. Lowest hanging fruit, damage control, how to reactivate your current database, where to start, list breakdown, email versus text versus phone, lessons learned, my lessons learned. I've made plenty of mistakes in the last 2 weeks. The reason I tell you that is because that's what you can learn from. You can get better results by learning from my mistakes, if you will. What single habit you need to start doing right now that is the reason that the two people we have, my two students we got on tonight, who've done records in the last 2 weeks. I truly believe it's this one habit. There's some more students coming through the week, or some of my other clients, and they're doing records too. And if you trace it back, I can't tell you how many of them have been doing the one thing I'm going to teach you tonight. It's a boring little strategy that they've been doing regularly for the last 2 years since they've learned it. And it's the reason they were able to mobilize as quickly as they were right now. And then also we're going to do 2 live case studies tonight of people who've done records. So far, give me a hand up if you're on the webinar. Give me a hand up if you're excited to learn some of those strategies. Pretty cool, right? Awesome. Wow, there's a lot of hands. There's a lot of hands. There's a lot of hands there. Good job, guys. Toby, good to see you. Sapa Costa, good to see you. Awesome. Mark, good to see you. Great, guys. Listen, tomorrow, Wednesday, we're going to talk with Tracy, and we're going to run through sales positioning. Why did I bring Brian on? The first sales book I ever read was from Tracy. And it's amazing how much of the stuff, especially in the chiropractic industry, you'll see has come from a lot of these greats, like a 2-day process that was brought out from outside the chiropractic industry into the chiropractic industry by a lot of these greats, right? We're going to talk about how you can do a few strategies for cash flow generators right now, which you're going to need, how to position your care plans differently, how now might be the right time to raise prices. I know some of you are listening to that right now and going, this guy is absolutely crazy. Like, there may be a potential for you to raise prices now, and it's a positioning thing. You're not actually raising real. I will show you that on Wednesday. There's something you can do as a positioning that's going to make you, what's some of the reasons some of my students are getting 100% close rates right now. Cash flow generators, sales scripts, and then we're also going to do 2 live case studies on that day. Next Saturday with Les Brown, it's all about new patient generation. So what are we doing to generate new patients right now? What are we doing to generate telehealth leads right now? What are we doing this week specifically? For me, I'm testing heavily Facebook ads this week. I'm going to teach that all to you on Saturday, right? Exact ads that are working, screenshots of those. I'm going to give those to you. And they're also going to give you real life case studies of people that are generating 53 new patients and how to connect telehealth ads, how to do a telehealth ad and convert to telehealth ad. You're going to get this from people in the field right now doing it. Cool. Immediate action plans. Phase 1, please write this down. Quickly write this down for me. Number 1, what you want to be doing right now is you want to be decreasing loss of momentum. Now, it's quite tough to teach this because you're all in such different phases. Some of you some of you not just closed. Everyone's been closed for a little while, but some of you are not fully relaunched. Some of you can still do some of the stuff that I'm going to teach right now to decrease loss of momentum. But the big thing you're trying to do is decrease loss of momentum. And the way you can do that is frequency and consistency. Write those down again. Frequency and consistency. You've got to over-deliver right now. You've got to reach out to as many people as possible. You also want to be looking at your future visit stat every day. So what is that? You should, in some way, shape, or form, every day be looking at, so these are the stats I want you to look at. I want you to be looking at how many visits you got in your schedule this week. I want you to know every day you need to update this. On your board, you at least need to have four figures there. This week, next week, the week after, and the week after. That's going to put you in a hugely advantageous position as you go through this, because it's all about gathering and understanding data of if your momentum is going up. So let me give you some statistic for us. During the week, so we're booking about 400 to 500 up to 600 new bookings a day. We're doing about 400 to 600 bookings a day, right? So we also know that we gain an extra 1,000 bookings for the following 2 weeks, if you will, during the week. And that we also know that from the start of the week to the end of the week, it normally goes about 400 to 500 visits at the moment. That's very unusual for us because normally we're so booked up ahead of time. But right now we've lost so much momentum. Everyone's been moving things around that we're getting that trend. We're adding at least week on week, as I say, every day, about 500 to 600 bookings per day. That's not new people. That's just bookings, people rebooking, etc. And then throughout the week, we're adding about 1,000 visits on the next week, etc. So we're seeing some nice trends there, but at least you want to be looking at that. That every morning I walk into the office, we do a little sales briefing, if you will, with my core team here, and we look at those stats. How many visits were we on this time for the following week, last week? That's super helpful, by the way. At the beginning of the week, how many visits were we on last week this time? So we're seeing this trend of being over like 200, 300, 400. Every Monday, we're 200, 300 more, right? So it's all moving in the right direction. But we feel this momentum coming back. Now, there's a time in your business where you things do happen a little bit organically. I always say for a practice, it's normally 300 a week. Okay, for slightly bigger practices, like if you're seeing about 300 a week, it's like it just becomes like totally organic, just about. Reactivations, even referrals happen a lot more naturally. I always know that my goal is to get 8 practices. If I can get it to 300 a week, it normally kind of takes care of itself. Nothing takes care of itself, by the way. There's almost nothing that's passive in the world, no matter what anyone told you. But I always know that that's kind of a statistic that's really true for me. Next, phase 1. You want to be looking at changing appropriate responses for care plans. So let me say that again. Appropriate changes for care plans. Can your Dan, can you still see my screen, eh? Yeah, because cool. So number 1, loss of momentum. Make sure you're looking at future visit stats, and you always want to be looking at care plans. So let me talk you through that. When it comes to appropriately shifting care plans, what I mean by that is if there is extreme changes in the marketplace, there may be times. So one of our students brought in an extra $10,000 in the week that COVID lockdown was announced. How did he do that? All he did was pivot and say, because of everything that's changing at the moment, we want to make it even more affordable for you to take up chiropractic care, right? And all he did was take an extra 5% off or whatever it is. But it just created, like, whenever you're doing something like that, I'm going to teach you that tonight. Whenever you're doing something like that, it's only really possible if you have a reason why. So one of the things that you can do is appropriately change to outside, if you will, forces in a way. So they bought an extra $10,000 and they paid their rental for the next few months just from that one strategy. So you've got to think of a cash flow driver. There are times in the business to pull certain strings and push certain buttons so you have cash flow drivers. Like this concept that everything should just carry on as normal, don't change at all, is just not true. You should absolutely respond to the marketplace, but while at the same time maintain something called price integrity. Please write that down. There's a term called price integrity. Cool. Next, you should have a cancellation offer. What I mean by that is at least a script or a plan, right? So when you have the distracted person on the phone who says they need to cancel, you at least have a no problem. We fully understand right now, being empathetic to the marketplace. And for everyone in your position, what we're doing is we're getting you in for a free catch up, or we're getting you in for a telehealth consult halfway through, whatever it is. By word offer, I mean, just have a plan for that cancellation policy, so that the number one thing you need to be doing at even prior to lockdown was just get the next appointment booked. Because remember, 3 events missed, no events ever. This screen's going to turn off, Jack. Over here. So 3 events missed, no events ever. Cool. Next, it's all good. Next is a reactivation campaign. So I'm going to specifically teach quite heavily on that tonight. Is a reactivation campaign, so that you guys. I think that's the lowest hanging fruit I can give you right now. I just want to give you some type of strategy. So decrease. So you have, in some way, shape, or form, decrease loss of momentum by making sure you're getting as many people booked out ahead of time and measuring those stats. Appropriately changing care plans where you feel that it is appropriate. Some of you might not feel it's appropriate, but it's okay to do that. Okay. Next, cancellation offer. At least have a script and a template. So someone's just not new today. Help me out there, Jack. And if you're able to do those, I promise you'll decrease loss of momentum a lot, and then have some type of reactivation strategy in place. So 6-month focus, which I think is the most important thing you can take from an entire webinar, is that I think we're going into a phase where the teams, the companies, the businesses, the practices that, write this down, GAS, are going to win. And GAS stands for I won't say it. You know what I'm talking about. GAS means actually care. So there's a concept that I was introduced to called reverse customer loyalty, which is absolutely what you guys need to be looking for now. So let me explain to you what reverse customer loyalty is. We are always looking for customer loyalty from our customers. I think that right now is a time where you have to ask yourself this question: what are we doing for them? How are we stepping up? And I'm going to go through that today, is that what are we doing for the next 6 months to demonstrate reverse customer loyalty in some way, shape, or form? By the way, it can be as little as something as small as writing handwritten notes. My associates have been incredible. Handwritten notes, 50 phone calls a day. Many of them just random calls with people to make sure that they're okay. So wherever you can, reverse customer loyalty is going to be absolutely critical right now. Okay, I want to talk about the 80-20 rule. We often say that we understand the 80-20 rule, but I just don't think people quite grasp it. So here's the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule is that about 20% of your customer base in any business, by the way, your practice members, 20% of them are responsible for 80% of your turnover. So 20% are responsible for 80% of your turnover. So let that sink in for 1 second. I know that you're probably listening to this now and you're thinking, yeah, no, you're saying, Ryan, I get it. Like, I get it in some way, shape, or form. Actually, you can probably stop sharing it for a second. But you're thinking to yourself, I get it, Ryan. Yes. I've heard the 80-20 rule a million times, and I get it. You don't get it. I promise you, when you go through your statistics and you look at really what your top 20% is responsible from a revenue perspective in your business, you will be so shocked. You will not believe it. We did the statistics over $10 million worth of turnover. That's $10 million worth of turnover. We looked at what percentage of our customers are responsible for, what turnover. And it was literally bang on. About 20% of our customers responsible for, it was actually like 25 or something percent responsible for 70 something percent. So why am I telling you that? Because if there's one group of people that you're going to start working with straight away, you want to start with them, right? And the reason I'm teaching you that is because I know for a fact, should you be contacting every single person you've ever worked with? You freaking damn right you should. But are you gonna? Probably not, because it's freaking hard. So where you're going to start, right? If there's only one thing you take from me today, is tonight, isolate the list, your database, your patients, on your schedule, anyone you've ever seen that form part of your top 20% highest spends. If that's all you ever did and you went deep with those people, I promise you, you will say to yourself, oh, why do we say start there? Is because one of my greatest mentors taught me that a buyer is a buyer is a buyer. If someone's prepared to spend money with you and your service, it means they've already proven that they value the thing you give. So the first place you start there. Now, should you start everywhere? Of course you should. But I know you're not gonna, because just on our database, it's 120,000 people in our database. There's no ways that I could personally reach out to every single person. But if I know that there's a short list of people that we're going to do something extra for, it just makes it a little bit more achievable. Okay, cool. Jackie, you probably share a little bit more there. Cool. So what does that mean? That means going deep. That means going deep on things like, do this, share my screen again with you guys. Here we go. That means going deep on things like, please write this down, Loom videos. It's just a text. It's just a system that you do a video and you can send someone an email. That means going deep on texts, personal text. That means going deep on sending people notes and messages on personal text, specifically two-way text. Do whatever you can. But there's a student of mine. He's probably on here actually. I can't see everyone now. But I asked him. He just actually did a post in my group today, just about how well he's doing and how lockdown's treating him so well. He's coming out with records and etc. And I remember asking him, what is the number one thing that you got, since we started working together? And he said, I got a story you mentioned, a story you told, and I took it to heart and it's changed my business. And the story is this. I traveled, I was recently in the States, when I say recently, within the last 2 years. And I went to go spend some time or watch Damon John. Damon John is the founder of, he was on Shark Tank, many of you will know Damon John. And one of the things that's when we were in the audience, someone stood up in the audience, and this is live, and said, Damon, like, what do you recommend you do if you're going through a difficult period in your life, or a funk, or a challenge? And he said, listen, there's only one thing I've ever done, and it's always changed my life, is if you're in a funk, in a challenge, do more, 50 phone calls a day. 50 phone calls a day. And I'll never forget, almost any problem can be solved with 50 phone calls a day. And you're thinking, wow, Ryan, that sounds like a lot. Well, really, some of us do way more texts than that a day to people. 50 phone calls a day, whether it's 50 customers you have to phone, 50 potential clients you have to phone, 50 leads you have to phone, 50 potential mentors you have to phone. And he said all he's done through lockdown is 50 phone calls a day. 50. 50 phone calls a day. Right? Look, the stuff I teach works, but I'm certainly not going to teach you anything. Most of the time, the stuff I teach, while there's some simple strategies, I always say that the best way to grow a business is boring business stuff. Boring business stuff. Because no one wants to really teach you the boring business stuff. It's the boring business stuff that makes businesses grow over time. It's the thing that's you got to do the fundamentals good. You got to do the basics good. But really, there's nothing sexy about coming out and telling people that I've got the thing that's going to solve your business, and it's 50 phone calls a day. I mean, laughed off stage, right? But it's the truth. 50 phone calls a day will save your business right now. If you started tomorrow, 50 clients tomorrow, and every day for the next 10 days, I guarantee you're going to do way more revenue. That's a 6-figure tip in itself, right? It's 50 phone calls. They said that's all he's done throughout lockdown. 50 phone calls a day. Every day, 50 phone calls, 50 phone calls. That doesn't mean he reaches 50 people, but he makes 50 client phone calls every single day. When he wasn't able to serve those people, that's all he did, right? Cool. And then I'm going to give you a little strategy, what I truly believe you should all start doing ASAP, immediately. There's and this is not about a strategy you should even be doing to reactivate people. You should be doing it the rest of time. If you're not convinced about the strategy after the end of today, I don't know what will convince you, because both the case studies we've got on live today, I believe, have built their success on this one strategy that takes 10 to 30 minutes twice a week. 10 to 30 minutes twice a week. Cool. So today is all about reactivations, and many of you have heard me tell this story before. But just to give you an understanding of just how powerful your database is, I'll tell you a story about, this is without a doubt the most neglected thing in all our businesses, by the way. You see, right now, many of us can't generate new customers or new customer avenues. Oh, and by the way, all the people that are self-isolating the most in many of our practices are our most, the customers that use our service the most, right? I know in many of my practices, if you look at the average age of my customers, it's on the older side. So that's a challenge. That is going to be a challenge. No more companies for me to do lunch and learns. Not too many people are going to be, if I do workshops in my practices, not too many people are going to show up to those. But I'll never forget a story I was told about a traveling dentist. And he traveled around the States in America, and all he did was, many years ago, he would travel to a new town, and he would phone up all the dentists in the new town, and he would say, let me ask you a question. He said, do you have old files sitting there gathering dust? And 9 times out of 10, they would reply and say yes. To which he would say, would you mind if I did you a favor and just got rid of those files for you, or at least took them off your hand? And 9 times out of 10, they said, yeah, there's a couple thousand, there's 500, there's 2,000 that you can just have and just get rid of. They are inactive. They no longer come to this practice. And he would travel around the States just doing that. He was just a bit of a free spirit, and that's just how he wanted to do, like his business, right? It shivers up my spine, but it was the thing that he loved to do. So he made a 7-figure income, $1 million plus dental practice, essentially using other people's junk to grow his business. The reason I'm telling you that story is because I know for a fact that you're all sitting on that same gold mine. You're all sitting on that same gold mine. And it's the only freaking thing you've got right now. So you better go deep on it. And you better know I'm going to give you some list segmentations So when you finish this tonight, you're going to have a couple of things that you can go do straight away, but it's essentially the only thing you've got. So you've got to go deep on it, right? And I believe we're moving into a phase, and that's why Wednesday is so important for everyone. Listen up, guys. Wednesday is essential for everyone to attend because we've been spoiled. I've been spoiled. Listen, I'll be honest with you guys. We got very good at generating new patients. I have grown this business pretty much by just generating new patients because I'm very good at it. My team's very good at it. It was, they always talk about being in a position where you can just turn the tap. I genuinely say this from the bottom of my heart. We were in that position, but it's changed. It's changed, meaning that we're moving into a phase where you're going to have to be okay with getting more from less. And that essentially means you have to right now work on retention and conversion strategies also. And that's going to be changing the money math in your business. So next week, Wednesday, we're going to be talking about that. It is significant to think about that now, because if you're not working on your average or PVA, your average lifetime of value of a customer, moving into a phase when new patients are going to be reduced, whether you like it or not. I'm not saying that you can't generate new patients. I'm just telling you that it's going to decrease. So you have to pivot. And one of the ways is you're going to have to get a lot more pedantic about your sales processes and your conversion processes, because good times make us both complacent. Good times make us very complacent. I mean, it's so funny. Who's on this call? So I don't know if you can show me some more of the people. I don't have Chris Arms on this call, but some of my students will tell you, I'm not joking. Just flick across so I can see everyone there if you can. There we go. So, hey guys, I can see you all now. So I'll tell you, where's Chris? Is he on this call? Chris and I used to laugh. I remember we did a strategy. He'll tell you, we generated, I think it was 100 and something new patients in the first Facebook strategy we generated together. And it was so funny, we will all look back at all the times we moaned. I've had people moaning to me, oh, too many leads, too many new patients. Oh my word. How many of you wish that was your biggest problem? But I had so many, I say moan, it was me too at times. No, don't do that. There's too many that come. No, don't do that. Too many come. Many times, but we're living in very, very different times. So far, my panelists and my attendees, give me a hand up. Are you guys learning something? You're learning something? Good job. Attendees, David Valentine, good to see you. Claire Farmer, good to see you. Awesome. So I truly believe that's going to be absolutely key for you. You can share that again for me. To switch your practice into such a way that you understand it's going to be more important than ever. Listen, I'm the first person to say that I've neglected certain sales and conversion strategies, without a doubt. Why? Because in good times raise all ships, but they also make us very complacent. They make us very, very complacent. So let me just share my screen again. Cool. So they absolutely make us complacent. So we have to really focus on that. So next week, I'm going to be teaching you, a couple of people on this call will tell you the same, have pivoted a couple of things, and it's working really, really well for them. So sometimes an outside force can drive increased sales. So you might be able to leverage that too. Cool. So here's a couple of things I want you to write down. Please take notes right now. Please understand this. I'm going to teach you a reactivation campaign right now, but you need to understand the following points. Write these points down. Pen and paper. Pretend I can see every one of you. Okay. So pen and paper. Number one, you need to understand message, market, media. So write that triangle down. Message, market, media. What does that mean? And for every campaign, you need to think of these three things. So for the rest of your marketing life, every time you're going to do something, you want to use this formula. Okay, let me give you an example. If you're going to do a birthday campaign, everyone just talks about a birthday campaign. Let me be clear. A birthday campaign is not a birthday campaign. Many birthdays are made differently. Here's what I mean. If you have a customer that potentially has, if you have a new patient that came to you and dropped out of care after 2 visits and it's their birthday, should you acknowledge them? Of course you should acknowledge them. But what if you've got someone who's been with you and his entire family's been with you for 15 years? Is that a different message? Of course, it's a different message. Freaking heck. They've been here for 15 years. You've probably seen their children since they were born. Like, should you be sending them a freaking massive gift in the post? They probably spend double figures with you as a family. They at least, oh, please, if you're not at least sending birthday messages, at the very least, and this is what I mean about reverse customer loyalty. Like, the marketplace is going to chew up and spit out the complacent. Like, freaking heck, if someone spent $10,000 with you, $20,000 with you, $30,000 with you, whatever it is, $5,000 with you, you damn freaking better make an effort with them. I don't know one business. I've got one business that's phoned me during this time, and they made a huge impression. And I keep on telling my docs that. I had one business that phoned to see if it was okay. It was my accountancy firm. And I really appreciated it. You know, they gave mobile telephone numbers. They were on board. They were like, wherever you need me, let me know. But that's a different, straight away, that's a different messaging that they gave me, because I have got multiple accounts with them. I've got multiple businesses with them. I have a property business with them. I have multiple property businesses with them, by the way. I have my chiropractic firm with them. I have my coaching firm with them. So they know I'm a big client. So did they make a special effort with me? They freaking did. And it made a big difference, right? So first of all, your market is going to change. So let's talk about birthdays for a second. A birthday is not a birthday, is not a birthday. You have certain birthdays that have been with you for years, and they should be treated differently, meaning that the message is different. The message is different. If someone has dropped out of care, the message is different. That's a different market, different message. And the media also changes depending on the market. So if you've got high spenders or your most loyal patients, like, the media changes, meaning you may not send a $50 voucher in the post or like a gift in the post to someone who's never started care with you. You won't, right? But you certainly would consider that for the family that's been with you for 15 years and you've seen their kids grow up and you were the first person to adjust them. Of course, should you consider that, and should you be doing that? I'm embarrassed. There's a particular customer in my business, and they have been with us. Him and his whole family been adjusted by us. I think across the whole family, multiple members, multiple families. He used to pay for everybody's care. I'm talking about like $30,000 worth of care over many years. And I'll never forget when we were doing this process I'm going through right now with my team, and I realized that I hadn't seen, his name is Andy, and I never forget, I was so embarrassed when I realized that we hadn't been treating him differently, because he deserved it. Because boy, right now, I am even more grateful for everyone that's so loyal to us. So you should absolutely be taking account of that. I'm totally embarrassed that we weren't doing something different for him. Now we are. But totally embarrassed that we went to something different for him at the time. So I hope that helps. Give me a hand up if you're with me. If you're with me, yes. Good job. So you should be doing something different. So that's message, market, media. Next is list segmentation. I'm just going to go through that. I'm going to go through that in a moment. Okay, so this is an example of a list segmentation. Before you send the email or the text, you should run it through a certain criteria. Examples are they drop-offs, haven't been in for 3 months, going back 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, males or females or both? Are you going to exclude, which I often do, by the way, write this down. In any of my campaigns, I'll often exclude under 25s, right? Because especially when you're dealing with a lot of data, it's just weird if something slips through and you send a 7-year-old a message. It's weird, right? So we will try to exclude that. I'm going to go through exclusions in a moment, right? And then I also want to know on spend, how many of my database have spent above 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 or whatever, so that I can market appropriately by changing up my message, my media to a different market. You guys understand? A market might be your 5,000 above spend, your 20 visits and above, your 5 visits and above. You absolutely need to message to market match, right? So your message to market match. And then you go one step further and go message and media to market match, meaning the appropriate media for someone who's been with you for years maybe is, by the way, something in the post, an email, a text, and potentially a phone call and a personal video. But for someone who hasn't started care with you, the appropriate media might just be text and automated email. So I hope that makes sense. How am I doing for time? Cool. Behavioral segmentation, meaning this is when they do something, what do you do? For instance, many of you on this webinar, because you maybe clicked on a link and then I was notified and then I did something else. Some of you might have got different messages than other people because you did something and then something else happened because you did something. Close to 200 of you have already applied to be on the early notification list for 25 spots. So I know who those are and I can do something different. I can send you a message and I can tell you when that's becoming available before everybody else because you're really keen to do it. But that's a behavioral segmentation change. Let me give you another example. You can even do this now. This is what we do. If somebody clicks on an email, opens an email, you may trigger a tag that then they start seeing your testimonials on Facebook. Let me say that again. You can do stuff where they open an email and then like an email of value that you give your list, and then they start seeing your adverts or your testimonials through Facebook. Do you know how incredible that is to be able to do? That you can be in different media just because of a behavioral segmentation. That means that I can go, let's send everybody that watched my video more videos of my stuff because they clearly like it. That's crazy to be able to do that, right? That's a behavioral segmentation. So I'll just give you this example. Here we go. We have once a certain email is opened, a text is triggered. This is deeper stuff that I'm going to teach you. Those of you that join me on the next class, that's what I'm going to teach you. I'm going to go through that step by step. My Relaunch Accelerator Masterclass, that's what I'm going to teach you. It opens on Saturday. But I'm going to go through all those bits and pieces. I'm just giving you a taste now. Next, specific offers and follow-up is very, very important. Oh, there we go. Okay, and next, so specific offers and follow-up, very, very important. You have specific offers to specific lists. That's very, very important. And the biggest mistake all businesses make is lack of follow-up. And understanding the next part of this fundamental to reactivation campaigns is any reactivation campaign you do, please understand that you will create a situation where you are outperforming the pros. By the way, this is like a little neat trick for you guys. If all you did was mix up your media, and instead of sending a text, you send a text, an email, and something in the post, I promise you you'll win. And a phone call. That's all you got to do. If you just mix up your media, you will most of the time outperform even the pros. Cool. So give me a hand up if you're learning something so far and you're ready to learn how we reactivated 1,360 patients. Good. I'm not going until everybody puts up their hand. Hey, Cubs, good to see you. Good to see you, good to see you, good to see you, good to see you, good to see you. Mike Paul, good to see you. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So here's how we did it. Listen up. 1,360 people reactivated who weren't in the diary, not come to see us, no appointment within 10 days. I think it was even less than that. But first, let me just teach you the strategy. First of all, whenever you're doing a campaign, you have to understand that you have to make an offer, right? So people's like, oh, I'm not going to change my prices. Well, that's fine. You cannot change your prices or whatever, but you still have to position it so that's an offer that's appealing. There's a reason you see Easter eggs like way before Easter. And there's a reason that there's stuff in the shops way before Halloween is because there's a marketplace dictating that people spend on that thing. So now we've got that marketplace change. So one of the things that you want to be looking at changing right now, in some way, shape, or form, you've got three ways to position an offer. Number one, a free X, Y, or Z, a free catch-up session. In the United Kingdom, free MOT, whatever it is, a free discovery session. By the way, that is still gold to do that. Free discovery session, whatever it is. You can, and there's only one concept you need to understand. The only reason anyone's afraid of the word free, and if you are afraid of the word free, please read the book, Predictably Irrational. Write that down. Predictably Irrational by Daniel Erie, I believe. And just to show you, like, it is one of the most powerful words on the planet. But you want to use it very carefully, right? So is there a legitimate time to use it? You're freaking damn right there's a legitimate time to use it. Like, you absolutely should be using it at times. But I'm going to teach you how to position that in a moment. Next, a percentage discount off. So 50% off. Let me give you a neat little trick. We have a 50% off offer on our website. Let me tell you another interesting fact. Every single day, multiple people give me their contact details for the 50% offer off. but there's no prices on my website. So what is it 50% off of what? But they still fill it in. So just I want to show you how powerful that is, that people every day fill in my 50% offer off every day, 50% off, 50% off, 50% off. They send me, they fill in the details. They tell me they want to come use my business, 50% off, but there's not one price on my website. So what are they, what is it? Could be 50% off of 10 grand, but they still fill it in. That's how people just can't help themselves, right? So should you be using that to your advantage? You absolutely should be using that to your advantage. That's just one example of something that you can use, right? And then the third one is like we've credited your account. So I actually have had, this has been used now more than I've ever seen it used in the marketplace. I love this one. This is my personal favorite, by the way. And the reason I found this out was a mistake. So let me tell you how we found this out. This is a true story. So there was a practice down the road that phoned me up one day and they said, hey, please, would you like to buy us? And I said, like, well, why would I want to buy you? I've got a beautiful practice just down the road. And in the same sentence, before he put down the phone, he said, well, that's fine. Can you just take us? So I was like, what do you mean just take us? He said, just take the practice. Like, just take the practice. Just take it. Like, if you will honor the care plans, like you can have the whole database, etc. Like, just take the practice. Actually, we can stop sharing there for a second. We've got to watch time. But it's a true story, right? So I was like, oh, look, we were literally like 2 miles down the road. I was like, fine, if you really want that, then I'll take the business off your hands. We've got a practice down the road, so we don't want the building. We just have the client base, right? And it wasn't a big client base. And what happened was we set up a campaign, just like I'm going with you right now, is how to reactivate these customers, right? So I set up a spreadsheet and I planned and I did exactly what I'm saying to you right now. Make sure I isolated my top spends, my customer list, and I said to my telephone girl, I said, go phone these people first and let's reactivate them. And the people I want you to phone first is everybody in the schedule who's got credit on their account. I want you to phone them and I want you to say, hey, there's credit on your account. We've taken over the practice. No money's changed hands, but we're going to honor that. So come and see us. And she was down the office, just actually directly down below me right now, at office below me. And I'll never forget, I went into the office. I said, how's it going? And she said, it's going really, really well. Everyone's just booking in. I said, fantastic. And when I looked at the list, she had phoned the wrong list. Okay. So she had phoned the list that did not have credit on their account and told them that she had credit on their account. But here's the interesting thing. How many of those people do you think said no to the appointments? 0. And that, I couldn't believe it. So people have been phoned and said, hey, you've got $150 worth of credit in your accounts. Come in. They must have put down the phone and went, oh, like, I'll just keep quiet. No one's going to bother us. But did I care as the business owner? No freaking hell, I didn't care as the business owner, because here's what I got to do. I got to get a customer for free. Remember, there is a cost to customers, by the way, to purchasing a customer. And I'll go through that in a moment with you. But that's the story how I discovered that strategy, putting some credit in someone's account, and it's a strategy called putting money in their pocket, was it was a mistake. There's a true story. I'll never forget it. I was like, are you telling me that of 150 people, not one person said to you, corrected you? Not one person corrected. That's just human nature. It's like, oh, well, geez, I'll take an adjustment if the last business had money on the account and they've been transferred across. So that's just a little story for you, but let me share my screen again. Cool. So here's what I want you to understand. What you do need to do is maintain price integrity, though. So is there a time and place for free? There's absolutely a time and place for free, but you can maintain price integrity. It was like, oh, but if I give it away for free, I'm going to devalue it. Not true. If you maintain price integrity, and how you maintain price integrity is discount a segmented thing, or 50% off on a thing, or, traditionally it's the front end. In our case, a reactivation or a consultation or a catch-up session or a new old or whatever you call it where you practice in the world. There's a million names for it. you're not going to decrease price integrity by doing that. Anybody that tells you otherwise has no, this is how business has changed, right? And then sometimes people will say, oh, but surgeons don't do that. You cannot compare. You cannot compare. The market influencing that they have working in their favor is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of trillions of dollars, right? This big pharma, big everything marketing for them. You understand? So we're different, right? And one of my greatest mentors who consults the biggest companies on the planet says that only the arrogant really believe that they never, ever, ever, ever they're going to get away with business, never having to discount ever on the front end. Just part of business. Love me, hate me for saying that, I don't really care. It's just the truth, right? So but it's important. So as like a kind of rule of thumb, we always say, don't give the session away, or the whatever you do in your business, but in our cases, don't give the thing away for free. Like, don't give multiple sessions away for free. If you can isolate it to the front end, that's great. That's great, because then you are maintaining price integrity. That's my little tip for you guys. Cool. So please write this down, and then I need to start wrapping up the section. But the minimum data you should be able to isolate right now is, please write this down. You should absolutely know things you need to do, like tomorrow. You should know what your high spenders are. You should know what your active, possibly all your active clients or current users. Why should you know that? Because you might need to exclude those people. Okay, I'll show you how now, because you might send an offer out, and we've made this mistake. Well, when you're dealing with big data, it's very difficult. You're always going to have some mess ups, but wherever you can, try eliminate some of that stuff. Now, those of you that are not using CRMs, we use Infusionsoft. We're Infusionsoft certified. It's what the best marketers in the planet use. I highly recommend you use it. Or if you don't have a CRM, you should have a CRM, a customer relations management system, like MailChimp or something like that. We use Infusionsoft, which I'll show you in a moment. Very powerful. Next list you should know is high spenders active. So you can go the extra mile, your top 20%. Next list is all inactive. Now, normally I say this. Normally, I won't include in a reactivation campaign, write this down, I often will not include people who have not used the service before. Like if somebody came and it was just like a time waster and they didn't want, I normally wouldn't do that. This is different, because the only reason this is different is because you're going to have such a decrease in new patient acquisition channels that you may want to tailor something towards that list too. Take it, don't take it, whatever you want to do. Trust me, we're going to entering times right now. It's going to be a lot harder to generate customers. So you think they're a time waster. This is the problem. Everyone thinks they're a time waster, but no one really understands this process. Is that they taken time. You show commitment two ways. One with your wallet, two with your time. They got in a car. They drove all the way to you. They met your front desk. Hopefully made a good impression. They saw your beautiful practice. They sat with someone in your business for over an hour sometimes. There's a lot of time and commitment invested in the process, more than you may think. So should they be at least considered? Absolutely, they should be considered. Okay, potential exclusions, write this down. I made them mistake. I'm in the game. 120,000 people on potential campaigns, right? So this is what you want to exclude from your lists. Number one, you might want to exclude, if you're doing a reactivation campaign, please write this down. This is gold. I promise you, we've learned this the hard way. Might exclude current patients. So you don't want them to get the offer right now. You want to do message to market match. Everyone's like, oh, but what about, yes, you can do something else for them, but there's a different communication to someone who hasn't been in. So at least have that current patient list. Next, booked in. What I mean by booked in is you think number 1 and 2 are the same. They're not the same. Booked in is you send an email, who books in then? You need to go back to the list and remove people from the original list that you reactivated from this email. Next, do not contacts. I shouldn't have to say that, but it's always important to say. People who opted out and things like that. Next, duplicate telephone numbers. That's a little secret one. So you can do this. If you're on Infusionsoft, we'll teach you how to do this. But you can eliminate duplicate telephone numbers getting the text. I learned this the hard way. If you've got a family whose mom, and the mom has put their telephone number for all 7 family members, and you do a big text campaign, guess who's going to get 7 texts? So you have to eliminate You have to eliminate some of the, so if someone, so you put in the system, we can do it in Fusionsoft, we'll teach you how to do it. We can eliminate multiple texts going. If someone's got more than one text number, then you just go, I'm not sending, the only thing you can't do is always say who the text is going to, but someone in the family is going to get the text saying, hey, would love to see you again, and here's what we're doing for you. Deceased, obviously, where you can help it. And then responded to a text. That's another one that no one else is going to teach you. I can teach you that because I'm doing it. So here's what we did. Again, if you're sending multiple texts out to your database, we just did we just made a note, or in our system, we just made sure that anyone that responded to a text didn't get another text. Here's what I've learned with text is emails is one thing, but when you text someone, there's the potential to upset people because they really regard their inbox on their phones as like a private space. So should you do it? You should absolutely do it. Open rates are like 90-something%. A great marketing strategy. If you haven't texted your whole database, you should absolutely do it. But here's my warning. There will be some people that get upset. And that's business. That's business, right? There are also people that will phone you crying and say, I can't believe you're doing this for me. That is amazing. So it's just part of it. But I know that I certainly don't want to, if someone responds, they may respond with, hey, leave me alone. They may respond with opt out, which you can, hopefully your system can set up to do that. But I always want to make sure that I really, really opt out certain people wherever possible. And also, this is questionable, people with membership or credit on accounts. So again, if they're one of our members and etc., then maybe we don't want to isolate them from the campaign. Please write those down quickly for me. Write those down. Potential exclusion. You want to remove people from the list. So you're just about to send a text and an email to an entire database or segments of database. So you want to then go to your list or your Excel spreadsheet and you want to eliminate those people. Current, booked in, do not contact, duplicate telephone numbers, deceased, responded to a text, and membership or credit on account. Potentially the bottom one, right? That's your call for that. This is what our campaign looks like. How many of you think that looks pretty confusing? Hello? Good job. So here's the thing, but this is what you need to grow businesses, you know, right? So that's just our reactivation campaign. This is our results. Please bear with me here. So we have a link to book online. 172 people filled out the link to book online. Texts, 777 people in this campaign clicked on that incoming text. Hey, either book me or opt out. Mostly book me for this one, but here's, because we have another strategy, we actually asked them to text back and say the word book. And that tags them down a different sequence, right? So 652 people said, book. I want to book an appointment. Yes, please. Awesome. And so we gave them credits for this campaign. You don't have to do this, but we gave them credit of $50, right? Or equivalent to initial consultation. And it worked like gangbusters, by the way. It worked so well. And then new lead or voucher. And this is a button in the email. 505 people from this list clicked the yes, please voucher. So in a time where I can't do corporates, I can't do lunch and learns, I can't do workshops, I had to go somewhere. And this was a huge help for us. We have massively shifted the needle in our favor because we were able to do this. So here's the simplest 3-step strategy you'll ever learn in your entire life. Please give me a hand up if you're ready to learn it. Give me a hand up, give me a hand up, give me a hand up, give me a hand up. Good job. Here it comes. Easy. Hey, Matthew Mancuso, good to see you. Hearts of gold there. Put your hand up, hand up, hand up. Good job, good job, good job, good job, good job. Awesome. So here's I'm literally going to give you the text, right? So write this down. I want you to write 3 columns. Text, email, telephone. Text, email, telephone. Now, are there more advanced strategies you can do? Totally you can, but I'm just going to teach you these strategies very, very quickly, right? Text, email, and phone. The text, there is at least 6, write that down, 6 texts. Unless someone opts out, 6 texts. Here's just an example. It's just like, hey, we're open. Please write that down. Please tell people you're open. Do you know how many new patients you've booked just by telling people we're open? And just told them there's text 1 and text 2. So it's like, hey, we're open. And to celebrate the reopening, we're crediting your account with X amount. I know for some of you that's considered ships up spot. It works so freaking well. Here's the email, same type of email. But also in the email, you want to make sure that people understand all the measures you're taking. So don't worry, these are the measures we're taking. it's for these people, and we're booking in advance, and there's certain people that can, etc. We're going to have to see if you qualify. We say all that in the email, right? Throughout the whole process. That's email number 2. Again, look at the button, how to redeem the credit. In this case, we went to the credit because it was a very appropriate. Again, we showed pictures of what everyone's doing for PPE, etc. So it's kind of twofold. We want to let them know that there's something special happening, and we also want to let them know that this is what we're doing to be safe. So when they click on the button, when they click on the button, they we get a notification to give them a call. Now, we can drive people to book online. I just want to say that as sexy as that sounds, you're definitely losing power by doing that. But we still do it, but you must have a tag. You must be notified when someone clicks on the book online button. Gold, you must be notified when someone clicks on the book online button, because I promise you about 50% of them don't go on and book, but then at least you know, so you can phone them, right? So here's what I want. Why do you do that? Because there's a difference between a cold call and there's a difference between permission-based marketing. Cold calls are painful. Permission-based marketing is when you phone someone when they've done something. And then the phone call is very easy. Here's the script. Please, you can write this down. Here's the script. So once they click on a button, these are the main points for the telephone script. It's, hey, how are you? 2, we're open. Just want to phone you, courtesy call to say we're open. 3, also wanted to check. This is the goal. Whenever you're phoning people, don't ever phone people without being able to say that line. I'm just checking to see if you got my email, text, etc. Like I hate doing any type of telephone calls without that. If I can't say that line, we don't even do it. So that's why you have to send the email, something in the post, etc. Okay, next, let's get you booked. Very assumptive. This is important. Number 5 is finance, membership, or prepay seeds. So what does that mean? That means even on the telephone call, you want to be seeding the fact that right now we're doing something special for people to make care more affordable, etc. It may just be breaking up your care plans into smaller chunks, but you want to seed that then, right? So everyone thinks, selling is a process of getting people to understand the thing you're doing or whatever it is. Do you don't want any surprises? So getting them excited about something that potentially could benefit them, it's an important part of the sales process, but very, 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 the fact that many people would leave that out of the script altogether. But absolutely, it's powerful. You watch your close rates change by just adding that little seed in there. Oh, by the way, just to let you know, we've got something really special happening at the moment just to help people really get through these challenging times. We really feel it's our responsibility to serve our communities right now. So keep an eye. So please ask your doc about that when you walk in. That's all you have to do. You don't have to tell them what it is. Just tell them there's something special happening right now. And then number 6, confirm the appointment like you normally would. So write those down. Cool. Just a quick one. When they click on the button, your primary goal is, however possible, phone them as quickly as possible. So here's a little statistic for you. Okay. If you phone someone after they've opted in within 5 minutes, there is just to be clear on the statistic again. If you phone someone within 5 minutes of them replying to your text, clicking on your email, filling your form in on the internet, whatever it is, within 5 minutes, they are 100 times more likely to be contacted if you phone them within 5 minutes. Here's another statistics. By the way, let's go back here. If you miss that, if you longer than 30 minutes, there's a 47% chance that they'll never ever respond to you. So here's another study that was done. This is the impact of speed to call on a lead conversion rate, which means that how does it affect my conversion rates if I phone them within 5 minutes, 1 minute, 3 hours? So if they click on the button, they say they want the appointment, right? You've got to make it your absolute number 1 priority to try to call them back as quickly as possible. That's why you might stagger your campaigns. So look at this. Within 1 minute, there's a 391% increased chance of a conversion. Within 2 minutes, by the way, conversion might just be into the front end of the thing. Might be the first appointment, might be the whatever, I don't know. and just saying a 391% increase in conversion within 1 minute. I want you to see, this is when the first time I saw this was heartbreaking. Within 2 minutes, it drops to 160%. Within 3 minutes, 98%. 30 minutes, within 1 hour, 36% compared to 391%. If you don't even phone them the same day, you may as well just, I've learned this, by the way. I've learned this totally the hard way, is that if you miss that that day, 48 hours, in my experience, you may as well, you've almost killed the list. You should still do it because you've worked hard to do it, but that's how important it is for you to contact these people in a short space of time. And you think it sounds like more work, but it's more work other way around. Because another statistic shows that it takes 8 to 15 phone calls to get someone on the phone first time if you miss the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. Let me say that again. It takes 8 to 15 times phone calls to get them in that position on the phone if you miss the 1 minute, the 5 minutes, etc. Cool. I hope you guys are learning something so far. So, you guys learning something? Yes? Give me a hand up if you're learning something. Good job, Matt. Good job, good job, good job, good job, good job. Wendy, nice to see you. Cool, cool, cool. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Very nice. So the problem is never the problem. And even though I'm teaching that campaign, by the way, you guys can all do that campaign. It's a text, an email, and a telephone ready with that script. So make the telephone calls after you've sent the email and the text. But the single biggest mistake in business is simply poor follow-up and nurture. And we're an Infusionsoft certified partner. We run all our business campaigns through Infusionsoft, and it's been a game changer in my business, an absolute game changer. So we help businesses implement Infusionsoft in their practices and the other businesses, mostly practices, and then we even help them come and do their campaigns. So what I want to do is quickly, I want to just introduce you to one of my team members who's going to take 5 minutes, and please get a pen and paper out, because I'm going to take about 10 years worth of trial and error out of your, potential pain right now. Is that here he's going to go through a list of campaigns you all should be working on, a list of campaigns that you should have going forward, and that's going to give you a shortened version of it. And those of you, those of you that want to find out about a CRM or anything like that, you can jump on a call with Jack after this anytime. We'll give you a link that you can send him an email. We can get you discounts to Infusionsoft, etc., those type of things. But I'll send you a link and a URL that you can fill in a form to find out how we can help you with Infusionsoft, or not help you, or find out if Infusionsoft's right for you. So the only reason we can get it cheaper is because we are a certified partner. So Jack, where are you, brother? Okay, so just unmute yourself there.
Hello.
Cool, go. Listen, those of you that are on camera, just give Jack a virtual wave. Yeah, awesome. So Jack, listen, Jack's been in my team. He runs my marketing departments in both my businesses here at this venue, and absolute rock star, Infusionsoft certified, and he's the guy really in charge of most of our campaigns when it comes to email and Infusionsoft, etc. So Jack, quickly just run through for us, the top 10 campaigns that everyone should have in every business, if you can, and then let people know how they can contact you afterwards.
Awesome. Let me just share my screen. I think you have to let me share my screen, Ryan, if you could do that for me, or I can just go through it without sharing, whichever's easier.
No, we'll do it. We'll do it for you now. There we go. We should be able to do. You should be able to do that now.
Yeah, perfect. Cool. Awesome. So cool. Can I just get some thumbs up? People can see that. Awesome. Thank you so much. So we are Infusionsoft certified. We use Infusionsoft for all our campaigns, and trust me, it's one of the best CRMs on the planet. All marketers are using it, and we really love it. So make sure you got your pen and paper out. I'm going to fly through these. These are your must-have campaigns, really the things that are going to help take your practice to that next level. So the first one is an indoctrination sequence. Now, that's the fancy name for it. Really, it's just a welcome sequence. It's the first thing your patients go through when they join your practice. Also, we've got a standard reactivation campaign. So this is something that's automated, always running in the background, communicating with your API from your clinic software. And every 30, 60, 90 days at those intervals, people are being reminded to come in, and we want to see them in the practice. The next thing you want to have running is a seasonal reactivation campaigns. This is something you can mold and change over time throughout your different seasonal campaigns. But think about the things you could utilize: Easter, Christmas, back to school. Back to school is going to be a huge, huge one for us. The kids have gone back to school today in the primary schools. Just start to think about how you can utilize those campaigns. Also email newsletter. Now, most of you hopefully are doing some form of postal newsletter, but don't forget about your email newsletters as well. It's just a continuous way of keeping in touch, letting people know what's happening in the practice. Another thing is a Seinfeld series. Now, if you don't know what a Seinfeld email is, it's taken from Russell Brunson from he owns ClickFunnels. And basically what it is an email about nothing. You're just communicating with your clients, just telling them what you've been up to. Tell them about your lockdown. Tell them what new things you've been doing at home during this time. Just talk to them, communicate, and keep that relationship open with them. These are huge, huge things. We've been sending one every single day from Hausa, just keeping in contact with our clients and letting them know exactly what's going on, keeping that relationship intact. Another huge thing is birthday campaign. You know, you've got millions of clients who have birthdays, and you want to be able to actually say happy birthday. Now, taking it that extra level, doing a card, a post, something in a post, that's great. That extra level is awesome for those high spenders, but don't forget about all those other people that you want to wish a happy birthday. You don't want to make that a manual thing. That needs to be something that's automated in your system. And also another thing to think about is anniversary campaigns. You know, when did someone join your practice? How many years have they been with you? You know, congratulate them on continuing their care with you and being a part of your practice. Another one's internal referral. Now, usually at the front desk, we're always communicating with clients, always letting them know family members and friends and can come in and be a part of your practice. But don't just stop there. Put it into your CRM. Have an email sequence that's reminding people that they can, you know, refer a family member, a friend in. Keep that continuous message going, because the one thing you have to remember with all these things is just because you're saying it's people in the practice doesn't mean they're going to take up on it. They might not. They might go home and think about it. If they've got an email in their inbox to think about it, and then they change their mind, you've got yourself an internal referral there. And don't forget about practitioner referral as well. Now, this might not be something for everybody. For us in house, we have physiotherapists as well as chiropractors. So we always try and get people on both care. We want them to also experience physiotherapy care if they're not. We want them to experience chiropractic care if they're not. So we're trying to always refer people to the other practitioners and trying to make sure that people are enjoying both types of care. Also think about your Google and Facebook reviews. Try and make those automated. After a certain amount of time in the practice, they get a link to say, you know, are you enjoying your experience? We'd love to hear, you know, what you think. Share this on Google for us. You can even put competitions in place for those. Facebook as well. It's a really great way to continue, you know, getting testimonials through. Also think about a new lead indoctrination. So this is not just actually the normal indoctrination sequence is when people are actually coming into your practice once they've booked. But think about the new lead indoctrination. When someone clicks on your website, clicks on Facebook to say, I want this, what happens between them getting a phone call, them booking in, and you talking to them? What happens? What do they get? What email do they receive? What text do they say? Even if it's just something like, you know, thank you for booking, we're going to be in contact. They need that interaction to ensure that you are there for the whole step of the process. Another thing that we also do is another referral type of campaign is a corporate invite campaign. So one of the months in the year, usually about May time, we usually do a big push for this. We'll do a fishbowl campaign, which a lot of you probably heard Ryan talk about before. But this is something that actually we do it in an email and text format, inviting people to say, did you know we do lunch and learn? Did you know we do dinners with the docs? Why don't you, give us your details, share your details with your HR team. We'd love to be able to come into your business and do something like this for you. All of these things I'm going through now, all automated. These things need to happen without you doing anything. One-time setup and everything happens in the background. Another thing is health talk follow-up. You get people into your practice, you've advertised it on Facebook, they turn up and you do a close at the end. Some people might not actually take up that offer there, but you need to actually go one step further when they go home. Don't forget about this. Here's another offer that we've got going on that's actually a little bit less than what we offered you there. Maybe this is something better suited for you. Just because they've left the practice and they've left that health talk doesn't mean that's where the story ends for those people. And you want to keep continuously following up wherever you can. Another huge one that on a daily basis, we're getting between 10 to 20 people downloading our reports every day on the website. And you want to make sure that you've got a nice sequence in place. So you've got your websites advertised on you've got your reports advertised on your website. They click through. What happens next? Did they receive the email with the report? What do they get? Do they get a video? Do they get a phone call? Do you wait a week, check in with them, see how they're getting on with the report, then offer them the chance to come in? What happens in that sequence? One of the things that Ryan teaches quite a lot, which I love, is just asking yourself continuously, what next? what is the next step? Just because that's where if it ended the campaign, doesn't mean that's where it ends. You need to go, what next, what next, what next, what happens? And these are all those things you need to think about in your campaigns.
By the way, that sentence right there is the single most important sentence. That what next is the single most important 2 words that you can add to all your thinking in your business that'll increase customer lifetime value, retention, and that's the single most important 2 words you can ever say.
And one last one you need to have in is your screening booking sequence. So for us, we've got a team of screeners who go out and we do a lot of online bookings. They put in their information. We've got a team in our head office who will phone, they'll get these people booked in. And you need to have that booking sequence in place. What happens when the details come through? One thing we really love is when somebody's at that screening, they're filling in their details. The screeners fill in that form and they get a text message literally as they're stood there still being screened saying, we're going to be calling you soon to get you booked in. Have to always think about these these follow-ups of what's happening for your patients to give them the best experience possible.
Cool. I just want to jump in there, Jack, for a second. Guys, by the way, give me a hand up if you think it's an incredible list and so this is all the stuff we have going. How do you think it's pretty cool? Yes? Give me a hand up. Give me a hand up. Where are you? Awesome. Great job. Incredible list, and all of those are sequences. Some of them have got 30 emails in them. Some of them have got 5 emails. Some have got 3 emails in them, but super powerful. Like if you just write that down and work and just tick away over that over time, those of you who want to help with that on Fusionsoft, we can help you, but it's just so powerful. Something to give you a shortcut like that. Great job, Jack.
Thank you. So please make sure you've got all these written down. And just to show you a little bit of a sneak peek as to what some of our campaigns look like, you've already seen the one we've literally got active right now. It's literally happening as we speak. We've got people in different parts of the sequence. People are waiting for a text here and an email here. These are 3 of the campaigns that I initially started with to get House, to that point where it needed to be. So one of the first ones that was a necessity was the birthday and anniversary campaign. You can see kind of the flow. Some of this might not make a lot of sense to people, but as Ryan said, any more information you want, just reach out to me. People come in through the tags, they go through the sequence, but then also we've got something called a reboot tag. So that actually says this person's gone through, but they need to go through again, and they need to go through again, they need to go through again. So it's always thinking about those next steps there. As I said, another huge one is our website health report campaign. This is our follow-up from each report. And as Ryan said, with the message media market, we don't give them the same follow-up each time because each report's different. So you're not going to talk to the back pain lead as you are the headaches lead. You need to talk to them differently. They need to see different testimonials. They need a different video. They need different follow-ups. So you've got all the 3 sequences coming through. And then as you see at the end there, we've got booked, callback, not booked, because our ultimate aim is after they download those reports, we want to get them in as a patient. We don't leave it there. We want them to be coming in and actually using our care. And then the last one is our welcome sequence. Now, this one's obviously so important. This sequence goes on for over a period of time. So we can never guarantee this, but we always hope, depending on when people book in, that they're going to receive something at least before their initial consultation. But we want to make sure that during that process, they're going to get, an introduction to who we are, an introduction to some of the things we do. We want to let them know that we do a House of Health show. We want them to let them know we do a podcast. We want them to know about all these other things that we do. Even tell them you've got Facebook, Instagram. Let them know that you do a newsletter. Here's how to get it. Tell them about your membership. All those different things. All these things all that these things are doing is giving you more time to actually get to know the client, get to actually spend time getting to know them on a personal level. You're not having to, badger yourself or your CAs to actually tell them all these things in a massive bundle of information when they first get to the practice. If they turn up at the practice and they're pretty much educated on everything that's going on, they're going to actually ask you about these things rather than you having to communicate with them about them. So I just wanted to preview those and just starting to think about, how your campaigns can look, how they can flow, and they're really those things that are going to be so important to your practice. So as we said, and as Ryan said, anything you want to find out about Infusionsoft, talking to us about, how it could work for you, how it may not work for you, the different things we can do with campaigns. If you're wanting to look at some of the ways that our sequences are laid out, the follow-up and all those different things, then please reach out to me. I think my link and email is scrolling on the screen somewhere.
Jack will do it in a moment, but I think
join Infusionsoft.com or Jack at DC Practice Growth, and I'm more than happy to help.
Cool. Awesome. Great job. So join Infusionsoft.com. You'll send that as a link there, and you'll speak to Jack directly, and Jack will do a little call with you and see if it's right for you and your practice. Some of you it might not be right for. But also when you register, if those of you are looking to go Infusionsoft, if you heard about it for a while, if you do register through us, then there's a couple campaigns that Jack we just drop into your app for you. It's just some basic ones, but it'll get you going, like a little welcome sequence and those type of things. And actually, we only just found I was able to do that this week. So I'm kind of giving letting the cat out the bag there for my inner circle members a bit. But those of you that join us through Infusionsoft will be able to just drop a couple campaigns into your app, if you will, and those are kind of on us, if you will. So listen, first of all, if you can see Jack and I can see you, just give Jack a big round of applause, a virtual round of applause. Okay, good job, guys. Good job. Awesome. So listen, what I want to do now, I've got 20 minutes with you, and then I would like to bring on some guests quickly, and I just wanted to run through what they've done to launch their practice. And we've got John on in 20 minutes. And then at the end, I'm going to finish with a list of things like action points now. So what you've just seen, I'm going to give you a 10-point action point, like write this email, send it this, do that. I'm going to do the whole thing at the end, right? But first, I just want to bring on two guests. So I don't know if I can't see everyone there, Jack. So if you help me see the whole screen. And because there's so many faces on the screen. So where is, let me have a look. Where is Anna? Where are you, Anna? Where's Anna? Awesome. So listen, Anna, if you can unmute yourself there. Everyone just give Anna a huge round of applause. A wave. Cool.
Hello.
So the reason I want to get, first, Anna, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you.
That's awesome. Listen, I just wanted to get Anna on today, guys. And Anna, you practice in beautiful place in San Sebastian in Spain, and I love telling people about your journey and everything that you've been through right now. An incredible dark, high volume, etc. But the most powerful thing is two things I just want to ask you about now. First of all, how was the lockdown for you?
Intense. It's a lot of work, and has been good actually. I've liked it.
Yeah. Well, I think you've done you've worked, if I know anything, like most of my tribe have really been working so much on the fundamentals. So tell us some like, because I know you locked down. How long were you locked down for?
2 months.
2 months. Then you relaunched, and I know you've got some statistics for us. And then I want to, what I think, which is maybe not what you think, but I actually think it's one of the reasons that you're so successful from your relaunch. But tell us, I think second week back, like you tell us some of your stats or some headlines.
Well, I would say my normal week
in
the past was like 280, 290-ish, and second, third, and fourth week after lockdown the three of them have been over 300 visits.
So like, guys, that's insane. By the way, from the biggest economic shift in the history of this planet, just about, to be 2-3 weeks in and be seeing more than you were prior. But I want to ask you, why do you think it went so successful? So we've been working together for quite a while now, but I think there's something you've been doing that I think is the reason, but I would love to hear your story. Why do you think, I know you did reactivation campaigns and all those type of things, but why do you think you were able to mobilize and get back to normal so quick?
Well, I would say two things. It's like what I was doing prior to lockdown, which is regular emails to my active and inactive clients for more than 2 years now, and getting them better actually through what you taught me with the Seinfeld emails and the regular emails. So
how often is regular? Because I know that there's going to be many people listening to this webinar and they're going to be like, wow, are you asking me to send more emails to my list? And I'm saying, yep, I'm telling you to. In fact, I was taught that you should send an email every single day the worst thing you can be thinking right now is that my business is different. Oh, that's for online. No, it's not for online businesses. So I know you don't send every day, but how many times do you send a week? Was it weekly, or what do you send?
Normally we send one weekly for active, for the active group, and monthly to the inactive ones, the newsletter. Yeah. But during lockdown, we did daily. You did daily.
Okay, so listen to that very carefully.
Yeah.
So every single day during lockdown, Anna sent them an email about pretty much nothing, right? About what's going on in your life. Because everyone, here's the biggest challenge. Everyone's listening to this right now and they think they have to send an email that has like the philosophy of life in it, or that it's going to be the key to them getting healthier in a single email. So what are some like ideas of emails you've been sending?
Well, during lockdown, they were pretty much about lockdown and about what I was going through, what I was learning, what I was focusing more on constructive mode than destructive mode, etc. But the regular emails I send them is the 80-20 structure that you send me. So basically 80% is blah, blah, blah. So what I did this weekend, we send them on Tuesdays.
Yes.
So what I did this weekend, I went on a course, or I gave a course, or I met with my niece, and blah, blah, blah. And then 20% is about that information relevant. So I went for a walk, and do you know how important moving is? And I make it relevant to the practice.
Okay, what's interesting there, most people wouldn't have followed what you said there, but there's a little structure that Anna was talking about there. What wouldn't followed. So most people think that their emails and their communication needs to be mostly relevant information, but it's the other way around. So what Anna was talking about there is about 80% of the content she's putting out is classified as non-relevant or semi-relevant. Mm-hmm. And only 20% is like, listen, guys, I hate to break it to you, but your patients are way less bothered about the neurology of a subluxation than you are. Okay, so it's 80% non-relevant, meaning what did you do today with your kids? What did you eat for dinner? Who pissed you off? What do you love? Who do you not love? What are some of your things? Which is that's gold, Anna. So thank you for that.
Actually, my open rate for the emails used to be what I thought quite good. It used to be like 30, and when I changed to that 80%, 20% rule. Now my average open rate for those, not the daily ones, but the regular weekly emails, it's like at least 50%. And it's
I can't even tell you, that's insane open rates, but it's because the more you communicate to the list, the more you can communicate with your list, which is a powerful concept, you know? So I know we're a bit pushed for time. I know you push for time too, but first of all, I just want to say, how many of you, give me a hand up if you learned something from Anna. Give me a hand up if you learned something from Anna. Give me a hand up. We'll see you guys. Awesome. Good job. Listen, I tell you, absolute rock star. If you ever get an opportunity to spend time with her, she's also got a mentorship group. It's an amazing group. They're on this call. I can give me a wave there. Some of you, amazing, high volume docs, incredible people. I'm blessed to be working together. And I would say that you should follow her emails, and you should see, because the more you follow other people that are doing this regularly, the more you can re-engineer things to suit you. And one of the biggest tips I ever got in this world is you've got to be extreme consumer in the world to also learn from other people a lot of the time. So, Anna, one tip for everyone as you close.
I would say close the gap between the way you see chiropractic and the way you share chiropractic, because we are more needed than ever now.
Wow, very nice. But you've got to do that by communicating to your patient list anyway. So anyway, listen, guys, please give Anna a virtual round of applause.
Thank you for having me here, Ryan.
You're a rock star.
And thank you for my group for being here.
Listen, I tell you, amazing stuff she's doing, and you should definitely connect with her, and follow some of her stuff. So thanks, Anna, so much. I really appreciate you coming on board and sharing with us. And then I just want to have one other person just to share quickly with you, because he would often say that he always jokes and he says, Ryan, I've only implemented like 3% or 5% of everything you teach us, but boy, it's working. But what he doesn't always mention, he's quite humble, is that he's missed the consistency when it comes to this specific strategy. So where's Ed? Ed, if you are online, can you unmute yourself, if you will?
There we go. I'm unmuted. Can you hear me?
Awesome. So Jack, can you just open up my screen so I can see Ed? I can't see Ed. So if you go to the top for me, Jack. There we go. Ed, good to see you. Everybody give Ed a wave.
Hi, everyone.
So Ed practices in Ireland and also just rocking it right now. And maybe you can tell us a little bit about what lockdown's been like for you and how's practice been since you've been easing back into things.
So we've been open proper hours for 2 weeks. We were opening the odd morning before that. We were shut down properly for really 3 weeks, I suppose 4 weeks maybe, before we started opening up a bit. And let's just say that the last 2 weeks we've been open have been our 2 busiest weeks of the year.
That's insane.
Which is pretty good. I was pretty happy. That was great.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So tell us, one of the things I wanted to ask you about, again, I would follow Ed, and he does some amazing things, but one of the things that you don't even realize quite just how or a lot of this, when we talk about it, maybe you realize a little bit more. But Ed, how many emails? So how often do you send an email to your database?
So we were just doing the regular weekly Seinfeld emails, but since lockdown, so since March, since St. Patrick's Day, I've done 73 daily emails, but also a daily video as well. So 73 videos and 73 emails every single day since then.
That's insane. So it's not it's like, that's the thing. I know, okay, so I taught you a reactivation strategy today, okay? But what's so powerful is that a problem is never the problem. So the more you talk to your list, the more you talk to your patient base, the more you can talk to them, which I love. And Ed is really a bit of a student of the game when it comes to this stuff. So I love watching, Ed, you got some killer subject lines. So the courage, really, the only reason I wanted to get Ed and Anna on is really to give you the courage to understand that, listen, actually give us some feedback there. How did you get around the fear potentially of sending your list regular communication? Because that's a bit of a fear that most people have.
I don't know how I sort of thought, because going back about a year and a half ago, you just were stressing the point of talking to your list, and I suppose I just sort of started getting into it, and then it sort of, it does get easier. But really, I think what Anna was just saying is that most of the time my emails are complete bullshit. And I'm just talking about silly things that are happening home, cutting the kids' hair, making a disaster of it, out in the garden, all this stuff. And then I do then segue into something that's slightly more sensible.
Yes.
But like, I know that the original Seinfeld emails were meant to be always selling something, but for me, it was all part of just building that relationship. And
yes,
the amount of comments that I get just about even me having a glass of wine every single night, like most of my patients think I'm an alcoholic now, but it's a bit of fun. It's just a bit of banter, everything that's happening, and it's been phenomenal, you know.
And listen, the way the world's changing, which is so interesting. I'm so glad you said that, Ed. The world's changing so much, in that now if you look at what's doing well online, it's the raw cut back version of ourselves. It's really like, cutting down those filters, etc. And it's also bringing some of your character into it. So now people can relate with you, and they probably come to practice. They have a joke with you about it. What wine did you have this week? And next thing that'll happen, guys, when you bring your character into your businesses, they'll start giving you gifts on either the things you say you hate or the thing they say you love. So if you say you love, you'll start getting red wine and things like that. And that's just kind of like a bit of a indication that you've started to connect with them on a different level that's more personable, and it's way less about subluxation and those things that are so important. But people are more focused, often more focused on who you are as a person. And I just had an interesting fact for you guys. I once heard this statistic. What's the one thing that all Marvel characters have in common? They all have flaws. Spider-Man's a bit weird, a bit funny with girls, and we've got kryptonite with Superman, and everyone has a character flaw or a challenge or something that their weak point. And it really goes to the deep psychology of understanding that we're all flawed in some way, shape, or form. So people want to be able to relate with someone. Would you agree?
Oh, totally.
Okay, awesome. Well, listen, one tip for everyone listening right now. What's the one thing you'll look back at lockdown and go, oh my word, I'm so glad. Actually, I'd love to talk to you about, just to show how powerful your database is. You had a whole list of files, like the dentist story, that weren't on your email list, your database. So you want to tell us about that a bit? Yeah.
So actually, for the first 3 weeks, we've been using paper and pen for years. I've been here 25 years. And we have, at the minute, we've got 32 filing cabinets, and we went through every single one of those, put them onto Practice Hub, and we realized that the intent was to segment the list into the certain groups. We realized that probably the majority of them didn't have an email address. So what we decided, let's just still segment it, put it into the high spenders, and then one of my CAs who was staying at home, she just rang them. And she literally went through the whole list we gave her. And I can't remember the exact numbers, but we're about just under 100 reactivated old patients that are booked in the diary. And that's the reason why we're hitting our high numbers over the last 2 weeks.
So is that
we haven't even started your email campaign yet. So we're literally just like, we're having what we had 12 RFPs, you know, every week now, and we're doing that for the next however many weeks. So we can't even start the proper campaign, the email one, even though you know, just because of that. So it was phenomenal.
It's so funny when I jumped to a call with you. I know, and one of the things we're talking about is how new patient acquisition channels are going to be. They're going to change a lot for us. And I know one of the strategies that we were both doing prior to the lockdown was driving people to talks within our practices. And actually, we jumped on a call, and we joked and we said, "You're done for the rest of the year. Like that marketing strategy is your new patient acquisition channel for the rest of the year." And if you want to branch out, you could. But I do believe that in some way, shape, or form, what we can all learn from Ed is every one of us in our practices has that same gold mine, if you will, sitting there. How old would you say some of those files were that weren't on the system?
We had a guy in last week. He hadn't been here for 15 years.
Wow. So most people would give up on that.
Mm.
So most people wouldn't even send that email to someone who hasn't been here for 15 years. Yeah. So just guys, like really, I mean, there's just stuff working right now in the practices, and like, you know, even the fact, you know, someone might say, well, why would someone come back if they haven't been in for 15 years? And the general consensus, this is very powerful, maybe to the point, to exactly why Ed has succeeded and why Anna has succeeded, is the number one reason that people don't come back to any business is different to what you may think. Most people think it's because they're unhappy with the service, they have had, or they haven't got the result they wanted. But statistically, they often show that in some way, shape, or form, they were embarrassed. And by simply communicating with your database effectively and a lot, you just decrease that you're given the permission to come back into the practice in any way, shape, or form. So I hope you guys all learned something from there. Give me a hand up if you guys learned something from Ed and from Anna. Ed, listen, I thank you so much for spending time with us today. And guys, I hope you at least got 2 or 3 strategies just from Anna and Ed, and it's working right now. Please reach out to them and follow them online. They're absolute rock stars. Please give them a virtual round of applause.
Thank you.
Ed, thank you so much, dude. You're such a legend. Thanks, we love and appreciate you both. And I really appreciate you taking the time of your day to be with us today. So awesome. Good job, guys. Cool. So listen, guys, I just wanted to pivot a little bit. So far. If you will, just in the chat, give me a yes. Just give me a yes if you've learned something so far. And thank you, guys. Thanks, Indy. Thanks, guys. Just put in the chat if you learned something so far, and you've got something that you can implement that can help you be more abundant, serve more people, help more people, you know, provide for your families, etc. during these weird times, etc. So that's all my. If you just got that from me today, I'm just so blessed. And obviously we have a very special guest who I believe is online with us at the moment. So without further ado, if my tech Jack, if you can just see if Dr. John is on. Guys, listen, he doesn't need any introduction. He is been a role model of mine for many, many years. I've followed his work for many, many years. And I think when it comes to enlightenment and being abundant and fully understanding the psychology of, you know, our thought processes and success, and success is different definitions of success, and happiness and all those things. I just love listening to him, and I'm very honored that he's taking the time to be with us today. So Dr. John, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Guys, if you can, if you can do me a favor, just to give John a real nice introduction, could you please unmute yourself? Unmute yourself quickly. We got this very quirky thing we do, Dr. John, and give Dr. John a huge round of applause.
Woohoo.
Hey. Okay, awesome. Now you mute yourself again. Anyway, John, thank you so much for spending time with us. Tell us, how are you and how things there in Texas?
Doing great. I just finished a consult out of London, and now looking forward to this event, and busy events throughout the day. So
yeah,
this is inspiring to see everybody. I see some people. I don't know how many pages are out here, but it looks like there's quite a crowd on here.
Yeah, we've got people come from all around the world. We've got Spain and US and Ireland and South Africa, etc. And yeah, it's just a pleasure to have you on today. And it's interesting that you mentioned it's anyone that I've spoken to right now who does what you do, and especially virtually, has had kind of the privilege of being able to meet with many people, help many people, expand their reach, etc. And I'm so interested, to hear from someone in your position, when you're dealing with so many people from around the world right now, what has been the kind of general advice you've been giving, or your perspective on how to maintain abundant mentality right now in an environment that's pretty hostile, and I'd love to hear your feedback on that and what you've seen out there at the moment.
Well, I really can't say that it has been all that challenging in my situation. I've been quite blessed this last few months, because I already had some online presence, and I just moved even more into the online world. And we've probably gone up 35% in the last 3 months in business. So I can't say that I've personally seen a major challenge.
Yeah.
I've certainly had some people who were not quite as resilient and adaptable to the change, and who did not meet the current market needs, have an adjustment to have to make. But I can state with certainty that every human being has a need, no matter what the setting. And if we care enough about the potential customer to find out what that new need is, and do our best to try to fill that new need, if there's been a change in needs, then the market continues. If we project onto that customer the previous need or our assumed need, we end up getting feedback from the customer letting us know we're not actually meeting a true need. And so there were some adjustments and making assumptions about what people wanted. But when we started to get what people were wanting, the demand goes up. It doesn't go down, it goes up. So I'm a firm believer that we have to care enough about humanity to be resilient enough and adaptable enough to keep current with the ongoing transforming needs of the people that we serve. And I don't know what that's always going to be in advance. Some I can foresight, some are hindsight, but you have to be willing to rapidly adapt to that need to keep building momentum. I do know that no matter what happens on the outer world, that's not what is so crucial, is our perception, our decisions, and our actions from it. And we only have control over those three things in our life. We don't have control on what goes on in the out world, but we do have control of how we perceive it, what we decide to do, and how we act upon it. And so I'm a firm believer to take accountability for those three things and then make adjustments according to those three things.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we'll dissociate and we'll separate causality and think that it's something with them instead of it's our response to them. But I do believe that this is forcing us to go to priority. Every symptom that goes on in our business, and for that matter, our physiology, our psychology, our relationships, our sociology, every area of our life is constantly offering us feedback to guide us to be the most authentic, most sustainably fair exchanged, inspired, integral individual we can be. And so if we ask ourselves, how is whatever is happening, no matter what the situation, how is it helping us fulfill what's truly most meaningful to us, and see it on the way, not in the way, we won't be distracted by misperceptions, and we'll use ourselves resiliently to adapt, to meet needs, and we'll use it as a catalyst to do something extraordinary. And usually when we get challenged, at least in our perceptions, it initiates innovation, wakes up genius, develops creativity, and allows us to go to heights we would not normally have gotten to if we had not had that challenge. It's like the slingshot effect. Once we release it, it goes even higher. So I think that that's what's happening. It's a calling for us to be more integral, more authentic, more inspired, to deliver the more sustainably fair exchanged, real, service that's really needed. and care about human beings. And if we do, we use this period, the St. Corona period, as a reminder of what our real mission on the planet really is about.
Dr. Demartini, I don't know if you know, there's a just something you said there really triggered something for me. But many, many years ago, I was in an audience where you were speaking. And there's something you said there about this time bringing out more of a genius in us. You actually wrote down there, challenge equals innovation. And there was a lady in the audience, and she stood up and she said to you, you might, many, many years ago, you wouldn't remember, but she said, Dr. Demartini, how do I know what my true purpose in life is? And I'll never forget, you answered her, and I've gotten to tell the story many times. You answered her and you said, look, I can't tell you what your purpose is, but you said, right now, I'm pretty sure that the universe is trying to let you express that in any way, shape or form. And I think that what I've in consulting with a few people right now and all our guests, etc., is that the challenge right now is bringing that expression to the fore very, very quickly. It's almost like the universe's way of forcing change, often where change was trying to happen. I just wrote something down there. You said there's three things. You said perception, action, and decisions. And I'm of the opinion that our perceptions right now, because there's so much, we can control that. But when it comes to controlling our perceptions, because there's so much external stimuli that is fear-based, are there any points you can give us on that right now? Because often,
I really don't pay attention to people's emotions.
Yeah,
I pay attention to their heart. Emotions distort subjectively with bias and distort things, just like in this situation with this man in Minneapolis.
Yes.
There's lots of emotions around there. I don't pay attention to that. I go to the facts. If you're not objective, you'll let the world on the outside. Anything you infatuate with, anything that you resent, anything you put on a pedestal, anything you put in a pit and don't put it in your heart, is going to occupy space and time in your mind. It's going to run your mind and distract you from the calling that's in the heart, that's inspired to serve. And we have the responsibility to not let those distractions that are skewed subjective biases interfere with an objective mission. That's why in practice, if you don't have objective data to be able to monitor the progress you're making, you'll let their emotions, and they'll let their emotions mislead you into their status. And so I'm a firm believer of not paying attention to the world around me that way, but look at what the real needs are, not the presumed reactions by mass media, which sells sensationalism. The master media is different than the mass media. And I don't let the mass media distract my mission, because I'm not interested in being a mass individual. I'm interested in being a master. So I don't pay attention to that. And I don't, if somebody shows me the upside, see, when you're infatuated, you're conscious of the upside, you're unconscious of the downside. When you're resentful, you're conscious of the downside, you're unconscious of the upside. You're not fully conscious. So knowing how to ask intuitively prompted questions to allow you to see both sides and center yourself and see both sides allows you to get objective and then stay focused and not emotionally distracted by elusive individuals that are causally related by persuasions of the mass media. I don't pay attention to that because that's not the fact. In fact, in this situation right now that's going on, the autopsy doesn't reveal what's being said on TV. So these are the facts don't match what people are reacting to, and people's reaction are subjective. Can I share a few things that might be helpful?
Yeah, please.
I'd like to take off.
Go for it.
When an animal is in the wild, it has a prey and a predator in its food chain. And there's a camouflaging effect between species. And so what happens, the prey is trying to camouflage away from the predator, as the predator is also trying to camouflage from the prey. So we develop in our amygdala, in our inner subcortical areas of our brain, a thing called patternicity, to be able to scan through the camouflage and notice patterns and try to look for patterns that might have pareidolia facial expressions of a human or an animal. And then pareidolia comes in there to help us animate those in case it's a real animal out there that might be something to eat or something that could eat us. We also have what is called apophenia, which we add meaning to those from our previously subconsciously stored information. On top of that, we also induce agenticity to make sure it looks animated. And we actually create what is called a false positive. A false positive is to assume something's there when it's not. Because in survival out in the wild, if we assume that there's a prey there, we might catch it. If we assume there's a predator, we might not get eating. But to assume that it's not there when it actually is, we could die and starve. So anytime we're in our amygdala and we're not in our executive function, because we're not living by priority, and we're allowing the world on the outside to distract us instead of the voice and vision on the inside and the mission to guide us. We go into our amygdala, we go into our desire center, we desire prey, we try to avoid predator, and we're into, as the Buddha says, the desire for that which is unavailable and the desire to avoid that which is unavoidable is the source of human suffering. And we get caught in this amygdala delusion, and we created false positives as a survival mechanism to get the adrenal glands kicked in to run fast enough to catch the prey and avoid the predator. But we have to skew it with false positives to create a survival mechanism. So people in survival are going to distort reality. And when I see people with skewed, polarized perspectives, I don't pay attention to them because I found out that they mislead, they distort, they emotionally react. They're not in grace. They're not in love. They're not inspired. They're not, thankful for life. They're not enthused about life. They're emotional about life. So I don't let that run my life. I let my mission and my priorities and what I know that I'm called to do, direct it. And then I compare my actions not to others. I compare my actions to my own highest values to make sure I'm living by priority and get on with doing the thing that actually gets a result. I'd like to share, if I could, a bit of a story and some things that might be helpful to everybody listening, if it's okay.
That'd be fantastic.
I know I'm starting to warm up here, so
I love it. I love it. No, you go for it, Dr. John. That's amazing.
All right, now, when I was 27 years old, I opened up my practice. I had a little 970 square foot little office, a little hallway on the side, 3 doctors, treatment rooms, an exam x-ray room, and a little my office and reception area. And I was quite naive and not experienced. I was okay clinically, but I had a lot to learn on business. And I was doing everything. I was working quite a few hours, and I was doing everything. And I was in my way. I had me a first assistant, and I thought, okay, she's going to do administrative work the best, but I'm still going to keep an eye on things. And I realized I was in my way and I was holding myself back. And I went to a bookstore. In those days, there was a Walden bookstores in those days. This is 82. And I went and bought a book called The Time Trap by Ellen McKenzie. I started reading that book and devouring it and taking notes and extracting ideas from it. And then I extracted and summarized it. And this is 38 years ago. And I summarized it. And I came up with a 6-step system that 18 months later, my income was tenfold. I had 5 doctors and 12 staff members in a 5,000 square foot office because I followed what I'm about to share with you. So just in case that could help you, I'd like to share that because it really made a difference. It's helped thousands of businesses that I've shared it with. So if you have a piece of paper or can somehow construct something wherever you are, I'd like you to take a piece of paper and put 5 vertical lines in it to make 6 equally wide columns. So if you could do that in whatever way capacity, because this little thing might just be a little gold mine for you. In the first column, I wrote down every single thing that I did in a day. I didn't put generalities, vague generalities like marketing or sales or this and that. I put the actual motor actions that I did in a day down on a list. And I was doing a lot of stuff. And I was doing everything. And this included my personal and professional. So I wrote down every single thing that I did. And I was detailed. I left nothing out. distractions, telephone calls, conversations, everything. When I made a list of that, as I was doing it, my intuition was prompting me, wow, I'm doing a lot of stuff that doesn't really, it's not priority. And I'm majoring in minors and minoring in majors. That's the first thing that popped in my head. And I was realizing that I was bogged down doing a bunch of stuff that wasn't the thing that I, one, went to professional school to do. So it wasn't inspiring to me. And two, it was weighing me down. So that was the first step. And that list was pretty exhaustive. And I realized I was even doing some of that stuff at home. In the second column, I wrote down as best of my ability to how much does that actually produce per hour? How much money does that actually produce per hour doing that action? And I was quite amazed because I did exams in those days. It was $125 for a 10-minute exam. I multiplied times 6 to give me an idea what I could be generating in an hour if I did that per hour. I did a urinalysis, and that was $10. And I said, okay, I took 2 minutes. I did 30 of that. That'd be $300 an hour if I was to do it all for the whole hour. I did re-exams. I did consultations. I wasn't charging consultations when I first started. So I put 0. I put reevaluations. I did everything I did, the adjustment, the actual office visit, the consultation, training, developing films. I did every single thing that I did in that office. I wrote it down, and how much does it produce per hour? Extrapolating per hour. If it took me 2 hours to write a report, I cut it in half, $200 an hour. And I looked at everything that I did and I put a dollar value on it. And if it didn't have a value on it, I wondered why. Why am I not charging for that? It's my time. And I realized that I was going by what somebody else told me who wasn't even thinking financially viability. Yeah. And I realized I was confronting my own self-evaluation and all kind of distorted views and mentors that I didn't even give name to, mentors that I was giving power to that I wasn't even thinking. And I just discovered a whole lot of stuff about myself. When I got through that, I realized that I was definitely proven to be spending a lot of time on something that wasn't actually getting me a result, even though I didn't want to admit that because I was busy. I'm a busy guy. And people confuse busyness with productivity. I did. So when I got through with that, I then reprioritized. And by the way, I found something really amazing. When I went out to do talks, breakfast, lunch, or dinner talks, I was averaging per 50 people, an average of 5 new patients. 60 people, 6 is about 1 out of 10 at the time. And my case visit average was just under $3,000, about $3,000 over the PVA times the office visit average, everything else. And so what I did is I realized that me going out and doing a 30-minute to 45-minute presentation at a club or a meeting or some function was generating $15,000 an hour. And me actually being in my actual cubicle adjusting was $1,500 an hour. And that was a real shock to me because I was going, whoa, I went to school for 10 years to go and do that. But this over here is actually producing more results than what I was supposedly supposed to be doing. Yeah. And I had an internal conflict about that. I was going, wait a minute now, because I wanted to reach more people, but I realized that sitting in my office, I was actually undermining my practice to some degree. And it was not something I wanted to face at that time. So when I looked at it, I then rearranged the entire list according to priority. And I made a list of every single thing based on what produces the most per hour, second most per hour, and I prioritized the list. I made a commitment that I wasn't going to do free consultations and free report of findings. I started charging for it. And I made them sure that I got it more efficient in time-wise, so I wasn't devaluing my time, because otherwise I was unconsciously trying to avoid doing it because it was devaluing me, but I needed it because I needed it in my practice to grow. So I didn't have anybody to delegate it to. So I got that list done. Then I went to the next column, the third column. And this is actually how much meaning did it have on a 1 to 10 scale. Because sometimes I got asked to go and speak to 2,000 kids that were at a high school, and going and inspiring 2,000 kids at a high school to shift their perceptions on life and to maybe go do something amazing with their life. And the feedback I got from that and the impact I was having on that was deeply meaningful, but they didn't pay a lot, if they paid at all. And they weren't always generating new patients from it, but it was deeply meaningful. So I reprioritized that entire list based on what I believed was meaning on a 1 to 10 scale, and then reprioritized all that based on what was most meaning down to least meaning, because I wanted to do that what was most meaningful and most productive to use my time. And these were sometimes the same and sometimes were different. Most of them were the same though. The fourth column was how much would it cost me to hire somebody who is a professional that was competent to my level or higher, an A person, to do a greater job than I could do doing the jobs. And what would it cost me? Not just their salary, but their space utilization in the office, their training, their equipment, their parking, their insurance, their liability, everything. And I was nitpicky to the penny on what it would cost me to hire somebody to delegate to get those things off my plate, to do the same exact job. And then I prioritized that according to the spread at which produced the most versus I paid the least to get the most spread to know what to delegate. Then I went to the next column and I put how much time truly on average over a 3-month period, looking day by day by day, because some of the things I did every week, once, sometimes 3 times a week, there's different things I did at different times. How much time am I actually spending on those friggin' projects, those actions? And then I realized at that moment, wow, I was spending a hell of a lot of time undermining my mission. When I got through with that, I wrote down on the final column my final prioritization based on all the variables. The final prioritization based on all the variables. When I got through with that, I got a tear in my eye, a very inspiring tear. You know what I mean by that? It's a tear of inspiration, because all of a sudden my executive center came online, which is where you get inspired vision, strategic planning, executing plans, and self-governance. And I got lucid about what was really most important. And then I layered all the list of things I did into 10 layers. And I took the bottom layer, because I learned that delegation was to be done in layers from the least to the highest priority things. And you duplicate yourself the last and duplicate below first. And I layered it, and I hired somebody to do exactly that job description. It was the lowest layers, and freed that. It took me 3 people to get the right person to do it. So I had to learn about hiring. And I learned that never to hire anybody that doesn't perceive that the job duties that they're about to do is, if they can't perceive how it's helping them fulfill what's highest on their value and their mission, don't hire them. I don't want somebody that I have to micromanage and distract myself from my own mission to go and help them do what I improperly delegated to. As Drucker says, you're accountable for that, not them. So it got me 3 people to get 1. That was done. I layered that off. I took it off. My business went up. At the same time I did that, I extracted surplus labor value. I calculated what it was. My volume went up, and I stuck that immediately into investments. I didn't wait. I stuck it in investments, because if you don't put your money into assets that accumulate, you attract liabilities that destroy it. It's a basic law of money. If you don't value yourself, world won't value you. If you don't invest in yourself, world won't invest in you. If you don't put it into assets, depreciable, consumables, eat it. Entropy takes over anything that's not negentropic. So I took the first layer out. Then I went to the second layer. And then I did that. And that took me 2 people to get that person. The third layer, 1 person. The fourth layer, 2 people. But over the next 18 months, I took 9 of those layers off my plate. And then I found something amazing. Every time I did that, I was able to increase my savings, increase my investments, increase my taxes, increase job opportunities, increase the economy, give jobs, inspire people more, draw in more patients. The world rewards you for being authentic, And I was releasing my inauthenticity so I could be authentic, so I could liberate myself from the bondage that self-worth was destroying myself with, and liberating myself to do what I'm here called to do. So if you're not living by your highest priority, you're automatically attracting distracting, low priority stuff to devalue you, to create symptoms to let you know you're not being true to yourself. So I kept getting rid of the layers. 18 months later, I got 5 doctors doing all the things that I was delegating, paying them X, extracting surplus labor value out of it, putting that into investments, accelerating my investments. I expanded my office. I started having my own TV show in the office, went to a couple million people, and I started doing massive presentations with megaphones into the parking lots and lights on the streets and stuff to just get my ass in gear. And I went out and did talks and did things that were generating patients. So I was getting at least 100 new patients a month coming in, and that was allowing them to do all the work. And I got to do the highest priority clients who had the biggest impact, working the most efficient hours, so I could go out and spread the message, because those are the mission, have a message. And all I can say is my practice, I realized that next in my life, I realized that that was going to place too small. I was going to, at 100 new patients a month, you know, that'd be 50,000 people in 40 years. And I realized on one TV show, I'm getting 2 million. So I realized I've got expanded. So I started speaking more to the Parker programs and other consulting companies and organizations, and keeping records on the doctors' reports to me of what I was impacting them, to see how many patients I was serving. And we got up to 3 million patients a year serving by consulting and helping other ones, which is more than I could do in my practice. I realized I'm holding myself back sitting in the cubicle. I need to get out. And then I realized that there's only 100,000 doctors in my profession. And I realized I've got a mission that's much bigger than that. I need to start branching this and duplicating this in other industries. So now I've got, you know, we've reached 5 billion people now with radio, television, newspapers, magazines, and all the stuff we've done now because of that. But I followed that same principle, and I don't do anything but the highest priority things. I delegate the rest away. I don't do anything. I research, write, travel, teach, that's it. I don't do anything administrative. I've structured all my electronic wealth building systems, so there's no option but to build wealth. I've delegated everything else off my plate. People joke about it because I delegate people to wipe my ass. My girlfriend, high quality, highly sexy celebrities to make love with my girlfriends to make sure that they're satisfied. I'm joking about it. Don't pay attention to that. But I'm joking about that. But the point is that I delegate, because you cannot liberate yourself from lower depreciating systems if you're doing low priority stuff. You got to delegate it. And you got to surround yourself with people that are more inspired to do what you're not wanting to do, so you can free yourself up to do what you're inspired to do. Because that's where you're going to find the one thing, as Gary Keller says, that's going to build the momentum to do something extraordinary on planet Earth. So I just wanted to share that, because I think that was a turning point in my existence.
I think just wonderful to go through it in the different layers also. And if there's anything, you know, we try to speak of this group, is often we find that just based on what you said, the less you do, the more you'll make, more impact you'll make, more people you help. And one of my early mentors in my life always taught me that you'll serve more people, help more people, influence more people by being the teacher / marketer of the thing, as opposed to just the doer of the thing. And you really just took that to the absolute extreme of that, and going, if that's my highest priority level, you know, let's just do more of that to serve more people.
When I was in Parker, when I went to Parker the first time, I noticed that the technique classes had 75 people. I watched the management groups, they had 200 to 300 people. And then I went to the visionaries up there on the stage, and they had thousands of people. And I said, there's a physical, there's a mental, and there's a spiritual domain there. I want to be on the inspired domain. I want to inspire people with a vision and delegate and plan as an executive function in the forebrain, not living in the hindbrain. I don't want to live telenomically by trial and error in the lowest heuristics. I want to be able to live by the executive center and be the visionary, the strategic planner, the executor of the plan, and the delegations, and freeing myself up for doing that. And I love what I do. And that's, if you do that, you have a timeless mind, ageless body kind of thing. And you just have, you're inspired and you can't wait to get up in the morning and do it. So that's the key. All I can say is that you want to prioritize. If you're not prioritizing your life, you're letting the world on the outside dictate your destiny.
I think the process of getting, for me, well, just I can speak for myself here. For me, when I know I'm in that higher priority stuff that you're talking about, is, you know, it's time and space gets shortened, and you're in that process of flow. And, you know, that's how I always know, while you're in the moment, there's not abject joy, but I'm always filled with inspiration while I'm doing the thing and come deep work, if you will. I would love to just ask you, you know, it's interesting because I've heard you tell the story about how you realized that the highest priority thing to grow your business, your practice at that point, was to do talks. And it's something that we heavily speak about in my group now, about getting out there and one to many and impacting many. I would love to know your journey. How do you think your journey might have differed if social media had a bigger part to play in an early stage? Because I've actually thought about that with your story before, and I've gone, gee, I wonder what Dr. John would have done if there was a Facebook, if there was Instagram, etc. And then after that, I'll open up to some questions. So guys, get some questions ready for Dr. John if he doesn't mind answering some. But I'd love to ask you that question.
Well, I started doing a TV show when I was 27, going on 28, right about that time, because I saw that was a way of reaching more people. And I put a competitive show together to Dr. Red Duke, who was on channel 26. I started one on 20. And then first we did it in a studio. And then finally I said, no, I want it in my office. I want people to see what I actually do here. I want to be a live, real show. And that helped. I also did radio shows. I would do them at lunch. I would do them whatever time. I didn't care what time it was. So I was on a relentless pursuit of the fulfillment of what I felt was my divine master plan, the mission plan that was the most inspiring to me. And, you know, I didn't care about a lot of the things that some people were focused on. I was interested in serving ever greater numbers of people. Hubert Hal Bancroft, in his book, the Book of Wealth, which I was blessed to get a copy, an original copy, he said that there were three things to the fortunate. They feel inside their heart that they are called to serve vast numbers of people. They feel that they're designed to elevate the standards of society, not by buying nice stuff to show off narcissistically, but to invest in inspiration to raise the standards so people can move up the standards of creativity. And then the third one was that they had transcended the illusions of morality associated with money. It's neither good nor evil. You're nothing to infatuate with or resent, but to not attach to it, but to know that it's simply a measurement system of sustainable fair exchanges in the world. And so I realized that, you know, the focus has to be, the innermost dominant thought has to be of service, but not at your expense of yourself altruistically, not at the expense of them narcissistically, but as a sustainable fair exchange with equanimity and equity. So I tried to center myself. I found out that when I lived in my highest priority, I was the most objective, most even-minded, most fair exchanged. And so all I had to do is focus on making sure I stuck to priority. And I kept a record on little index cards of what was the highest priorities each day. What are the highest priorities I can do today to fulfill my mission on earth? And Mary Kay from Mary Kay Cosmetics, who I spoke to 4,500 women at the Anatole in Dallas one time, she's the one that told me that one. And I did that every day. And then I kept records of what was the highest priority of the highest priorities of the highest priorities to get the 20% of the 20% of the 20% kind of thing. And I knew what it was, and it was very obvious. So I delegated everything off my plate. I don't do anything but what that is. And that liberated me and vitalized me and inspired me to go and do what I love doing. Because when you can't wait to go and serve people, people can't wait to get your service. I was in Chicago one year consulting. I did a 1,000 doctor's office consults during the 80s throughout America, 1,000 offices.
Wow.
I got to see a lot of offices and help a lot of offices back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And there was a doctor there in Chicago. I met with him on the evening before to have dinner. I flew in the night before. I always asked him to bring his spouse, if he has a spouse or his girlfriend there, because a lot of times the spouse, which is the disowned part, whispers things that the doctor is trying to unconsciously avoid. And I always say the spouse is the consult that doesn't get paid sometimes, consultant. And so I asked him some things, and then I shared with him a basic principle. And this principle, I assure everybody who's listening will be valuable to them. And if they apply it tonight, they'll say, thank you for it. I made him list the names. I said, what you're going to do is you're going to list off the names of every patient you serve. You're going to give me those names. And the second you have a 3-second pause, we're stopping. And we're going to count the names. So go. Every name you can think of every patient you've served and can think of, I want you to rattle them off. And he started rattling them off. And he started slowing down around 45, started slowing down at 55, got to 60, and it was starting to get about 1 second between it. Got it. Got it. He hit the 3-second mark at 68. And I said, you see 68 patients a day on average per week, per average day, don't you? And he goes, how in the hell did you figure that out? I said, because out of sight, out of mind. If your innermost dominant thought is not serving your patients, don't expect patients to be on that table. You'll be on the table. So I had him go and memorize 1,000 patients' names. That was his job, to memorize 1,000 patients' names. Went to 120 patient visits more. I mean, that's another 52 or so patients a day went up when he did that. Because now, instead of going to sleep thinking about himself and thinking about everything else, he was thinking about his patients. And the coronavirus is Saint Corona. It's going to make you more efficient and effective at being a master of who you are authentically, and hold you accountable to do the things to help you get what you say you want, and make sure it's really what you want. And it's going to separate the masses from the master. And it's going to make sure that they are really committed to being of service to people. And the moment they do, their practice is going to boom like it's not been before. So it's not the world on the outside that's ever anything but a feedback to awaken the master in the world on the inside. That's all.
Nice. Amazing. Awesome. I wrote down that Saint Corona. And to be able to look back, and you started with this, you said, what's happening right now? If you had to ask that question, why is this happening? Or what is the reason, was the purpose of this happening for me to fulfill my highest potential or purpose? I think we could all gain a lot from that. Dr. John, I've got quite a few questions, and I wonder if I can just dive in there because I want to be conscious and respectful of your time. So actually, I would ask if that's okay. By the way, give me a wave. Are you guys learning something from Dr. John Demartini? Give me a wave. Amazing. Thank you so much. So first of all, actually, Brian, if you're on, I know you've typed it in the chat, but Brian, if it's okay, I'd love you just to ask Dr. John directly, if you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself, just asking the question you typed in there.
Yeah, that's great. Hi, Dr. John, great to see you.
Hey.
I've heard you speak many times, read many of your books, and been very inspired. I've always had a question in relation to.
Are you in Ireland?
I am Northern Ireland. Yes, I am.
Good, because I recognize the Northern Ireland.
There you go. So the question really comes to, when we talk about the duality of the infatuation and, something that's negative occupying our minds, how can we get the balance to celebrate a win without getting too egotistical? Do you know what I mean? Basically, if we have something that's good that's happened, I'm sometimes a little bit conscious, don't over celebrate it because you're getting too much into your ego, be grateful. Where can we find the balance in a celebration without knocking us out of into a duality either way, if that makes any sense?
All right, let me try this as the starting answer, and then I'll elaborate. When I was, I think now around 32, I had my second office. I had my high-rise office up on the 52nd floor. And I would have, in those days, I was practicing from 9 to 10:45 and 3 to 4:45 in the afternoon. And I was working part-time and doing consulting and speaking. But I still saw patients, about 70 patients a week, a day, actually. And in the process of doing that, I some days I'd have a big day, nice collections and see a lot of patients and get a lot of thank yous, and I'd be puffed up a bit. You know, you know what I mean by puffed up, where you can take somebody's hand and say, touch me and you'll feel better about yourself kind of thing. You're kind of cocky. And, you know, I had my head up my ass and I was kind of cocky. And I was thinking it's all about me kind of thing. I did this, I did that. And then I noticed when I was driving home, I'm focused on, you know, how amazing I am kind of thing. And then when I get home, my spouse would slam dunk me. And I thought, what a bitch. You know, a bitch is a beautifully inspired teacher of conscious humanity, I later found out. But what happened is I didn't, at the time, because I was into monopolar thinking, trying to be only one-sided instead of balanced. I thought, wow, that's not fair. Everybody thinks I'm great. Why should you do that? But I didn't realize that when I'm puffed up, I'm not authentic. And the purpose of marriage is not happiness. Anybody figures that out. The purpose of marriage is to make sure you get authentic. So if you're cocky, they bring you down. If you're down, they lift you up. And they're trying to get you to authentic because they want love. They're there to teach us love. And pride and feelings of success ain't love. It's a delusion. I'm not here. When you go after and think you're successful, you're depurposing and on your way down. When you're down and you think you're failure, you're repurposing and you're on your way up. But when you're neither one of those, you're on a mission. And I'm a man on a mission. I'm not interested in success. I don't label myself as success. It's a waste of time. That means you have a small vision and you got little experience saying that. So what I did is, instead of getting egotistical, false pride, I learned that if I came home all cocky, she nailed me, and then I wouldn't sleep well, and then I'd have a really funky day, and then I'd be down, and then I'd come home with that, and then she'd lift me up. And I'm thinking, what the hell is this psychosis? So I realized that anytime you don't govern yourself, the world around you has to. Your physiology will create symptoms. Your loved ones will give you feedback. The sociology will give you feedback by praise and reprimands. And you'll get tragedy and comedies in your life to try to get you back in balance. I just worked with one of the leading comics today, helping him through an issue in London for that very lesson. And I then stopped and I did something that I still have with me in this book right here. That's been with me for 38 years, 37, 36 years, whatever. And it was a series of questions that I asked myself. And if you've never done this, it's mind-blowing. It's very powerful. And I've shared it with people all over the world, even governments and leaders and presidents. I asked myself, if I'm feeling up, I made a list of all the symptoms of when I'm feeling up and puffed up and inflated and proud and self-righteous and above equilibrium. And I made a list of the symptoms, and every night I have to check that and look at that symptoms. And if I'm above equilibrium, there were 25 questions I had to ask myself. What patient's name did I forget to use? What staff member did I not thank? What paperwork did I not fill in? What procedure did I overlook? And I asked self-corrective, homeostatic, kind of a negative feedback, an innate intelligent feedback system to get me back into center. And I would calm myself down because I inevitably, when I was up, was overlooking things. See, when you're infatuated, you're blind to the downsides. When you're resentful, you're blind to the upsides. When you're centered, you see both sides. And so I realized to ask those questions to help me override my unconscious ignorance and blind side. Because I was blind those days because I was feeling good. Just like these people in the media that are all emotional, they're blind to the other side. If they saw both sides, they wouldn't have a reaction. But what happens is, I would center myself and I would not leave my office until I had a tear of gratitude and a feeling of gratitude in my heart for the opportunity to serve people that day and to have a wife at home. And I did not go home until I had that tear of gratitude. And I would stand there facing the sunset with my office up on the 700 feet up and wait until I would go there with a tear of gratitude. When I would go home with a tear of gratitude, my wife was completely different. It was like a quantum entangled particle nanoparticle that was marriage partners. And the moment I came to the center, she came to the center, and it was amazing. And I realized that I was dissociated in looking for causes outside and solutions outside instead of looking inside. And people that are dissociated never empower themselves. People that are reintegrate empower themselves. I also noticed that if I had a down day, I asked, who did I serve? What did I fulfill? And I went the opposite questions completely in reverse. And I would then take myself back up until I had a tear of gratitude again. Because if I didn't walk home or go home that night with my patients in my mind and my spouse in my mind, and then on the way home, I actually put together a little fun thing. Because in those days I drove. I haven't driven in 32 years now, 33 years now. I don't drive cars. I delegated that, specialist. So what happens is I actually had a series of questions and you might say little affirmations that would remind me of all the things of my family on the way home. And then all the things that would remind me of my practice and patience on the way to work. And I had a whole systems to get my mindset ready for work and a mindset ready for home. So I wasn't thinking of work when I'm home and not being present. I wasn't thinking of my home. Because of that, I'd be distracted at home. And then I would be thinking of that when I'm in practice. So I transitioned back and forth. I leveled the playing field. I got humble every time I go home. I had a loving wife and I had myself focused and present that way. And that made a difference. And the trajectory of my statistics in my office became, instead of this, it became this. And it became steadily growing because I was governing myself. I've said before, until the voice and the vision on the inside is louder than all opinions on the outside, you haven't mastered your life. And so you don't get that inner voice and inner vision of inspiration as long as you're emotionally looking down on people with pride or looking up at people with shame, as long as you're not centered with equanimity within yourself and equity between yourself and others, you're not in healing consciousness. And your practice will give you the symptom feedback to let you know it, and your patience will. In fact, your entire world around you, physiologically, psychologically, sociologically, and theologically, is going to constantly get you authentically by giving you feedback.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Awesome question. I want just looking through the list here. It's quite a similar questions, actually. I don't know if there's two questions, Dr. John, and specifically one from Filippo says, how do I get out of my own way?
You never have to get out of your own way. You have to get your false personas out of your true being's way.
False persona.
Your false persona of who you think you are. Now, the number one thing that makes people confuse who they are is the comparison to other people. If a gold medalist is about to jump in the water to do swimming, if he's focused on his mission, he's not going to be looking to his left and right as his opponents. Because the second he looks to one side or the other and does any comparison, he'll never win. He's got to focus on what his mission is. So what happens is a lot of people walk in a mall, they meet somebody, they see somebody walking by and they think that guy looks more intelligent than me. That guy looks more successful than me. That guy looks more wealthy than me. That guy looks like he's got a more stable marriage than me. That guy over there looks like he's got more influence than me. That guy's got more physical fitness than me. That guy's more inspired than me. And then you beat yourself up. Einstein said, when you're a cat expecting to swim like a fish, you're going to beat yourself up because you're not being a fish. You know, that's not who you are. And if you're a fish trying to climb a tree, you're going to beat yourself up because you're not a cat. And what people do is they compare themselves to other people, live in their shadows, not on their shoulders, put them on a pedestal, envy them and try to imitate them, inject the values of them into their life and try to inculcate that and try to be somebody they're not and lose their true identity, their mission at the expense of fitting in and conforming to the herd instead of being heard. In the process of doing that, they'll minimize themselves and they'll actually confuse what's really important to them from what their real mission is. And that will distract them, or they'll do the opposite. And both of these lead to dysmorphic perceptions of self. The other is they look down on people and they think, oh, I'm more intelligent than them, more successful than them, have more money than them, have better relationship, more social savvy, more physically fit, more spiritual. And the second you do that, now you exaggerate yourself and then spend all this energy, dissipative energy, trying to change them relative to you. Anytime you're trying to change you relative to others or others relative to you, you're putting your energy into something that's not going to happen. You're not here to put people on pedestals or pitch. You're here to put people in your heart. And that's only the place you'll find your own authenticity. And the moment you're there, you won't have a confusion. You'll have certainty. Let me give you an example. And who was it that asked that actually? That question.
is Filippo. So Filippo, actually, you could, if you don't mind, yeah, just unmute yourself and just say hi. And then,
Filippo,
Yeah, hello.
Hi, Filippo.
Hi, John. Hi.
Great.
Good to meet you.
So here's the
Awesome.
deal. So Filippo, I'm going to use you as my guinea pig for a minute. Do I have permission?
Yep.
Okay. So Filippo, if I went up to you and I said, Filippo, you're always kind, never cruel, always positive, never negative, always nice, never mean, always generous, never stingy, always giving, never taking, always peaceful, never wrathful. Would you believe me?
I would say thank you, but no, I wouldn't believe you.
Wouldn't your bullshit meter go off and say, not exactly? And you be thinking of times when you've not been that way?
Yeah.
Now, if I said to you, you're always mean, you're never nice, you're always cruel, you're never kind, you're always negative, never positive, always wrathful, never peaceful, always taking, never generous, always, inconsiderate, never considerate, would you believe me?
No.
No, your bullshit meter would go off and you think, I'm a nice guy at times. But if I said to you, Filippo, sometimes you're nice, sometimes you're mean, sometimes you're kind, sometimes you're cruel, sometimes you're positive, sometimes you're negative, sometimes you're peaceful, sometimes you're wrathful, sometimes you're generous, sometimes you're stingy, and sometimes you're considerate, sometimes you're inconsiderate, you'd immediately go, yes. Because you only have certainty when you're objective and you have a balanced orientation. So anytime you're trying to put on a facade of one side or the other, your uncertainty pushes people away. Just like money circulates through the economy from those who value it least to those who value it most. And clients circulate through the sociology and the economy from those doctors that have the least certainty to those that have the most authentic certainty. And the moment you're objective with yourself and not putting people on pedestals and minimizing yourself and not putting people in pits and exaggerating yourself, and you're being yourself, you're in healing consciousness, because now you're grateful, you're loving, you're inspired, you're enthused, you're certain, and you're present, which are the cardinal pillars of healing consciousness, which magnetize opportunity, and the universe brings you patience.
Pretty cool. Thank you.
Thanks, John. That's awesome.
Wow. That's awesome.
Good job, Filippo. Great question, my friend. Great question. And then just close with one here, Bruce. Dr. Bruce, I don't know if you're on here, if you wouldn't mind asking Dr. John that question yourself, if you don't mind. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, go.
Hi there, Dr. Demartini.
Hi, Bruce.
Thanks for spending the time with us. And yeah, I'm actually busy working through your book, Values Factor. And you're welcome. Thank you. And actually, I had the pleasure of listening to you back in South Africa. You popped into the school there, and it was about 2007. And I must say, you blew my mind a bit. And because the course there is very medical, very sort of like physiopractor, if you will. I probably wasn't quite ready for to hear what you were saying. However, listening to you there, I believe sort of really helped me sort of open my mind later on when I sort of got into practice and sort of changed my outlook. But at the moment we I suppose we kind of just going through the transition and sort of trying to come out of the sort of reactivate our practices, and I just wanted to ask you specifically about the delegation, the hiring of the staff, because at the moment we kind of keeping things a little bit lean. I think quite a few of us are going through that, and so just I know in your book, obviously, I haven't gone quite as deep yet. All the good books I like to go through a couple of times, and I'm just on my first sort of run through of yours. But certainly the hiring of staff and trying to and getting
anxiety right now.
Sorry,
I say it leads to an anxiety thinking about it.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Can I address something? I'm going to ask you a really simple question. Out of everything you've ever done in your life that has helped you build your practice, what is the absolute highest priority, most significant thing you've done that's made your practice grow?
I believe it's just really caring for people and communicating with them,
Great. So I got a
on
question.
an emotional level.
Is that in your practice or outside and inside your practice?
Both, I believe.
Are you doing that 20 hours a day right now?
No.
I wonder what would happen if you did. You'd have enough money to pay for anybody. If you hire somebody to rescue you, you won't get anywhere. But if you hire somebody to liberate you, to do what's highest in priority that serves the most people, amazing things will happen. I went to 2,000 homes in Houston, Texas, and introduced myself to 2,000 homes. And I asked them, what are the biggest problems they face with healthcare? What are the challenges they face when they go to a doctor's office? And if they could get those solved, would they want to be notified when I open up that office? So the question is, instead of focusing on what's not working, let's focus on the absolute highest priority things that actually generate patients where you've got such a demand, you need help. When your innermost dominant thought is your patient, your outermost tangible reality becomes a practice. So the question you want to ask is, right now, have you contacted and kept in dialogue with all of your patients to see how they're doing, to give them advice, to give them information and sending them information, to keep them active at home, and to give them some things you can do at home while they're waiting to come into the office again? And are you and finding out if there's anybody else that they care about in their family and their loved ones or whatever that's got health issues? Are you actually going out of your way and going and doing what you can with what you have when you're not able to be in the office to serve people? If you do, when the day opens, the office there, you're going to be flooded with patients waiting for you. And if you're out there interacting and engaging, the more people you meet and treat, more people you meet and greet, the more people you're going to treat. I used to make sure I didn't go home without meeting at least 3 people a day new. So the question is how many people new are you meeting on a daily basis? They say you need to be socially distancing. Okay, you don't have to be more than 6 feet close to them, but it doesn't mean you can't be introducing and interacting with people online. I've reached about 500 million people online the last 3 months easily. So I know that you can do something online and you can be educating people and be the doctor, the #1 doctor educating people on healthcare right now, and then build a flooding of people and then allow people to come from around the world to come see you. By the way, the worst patient you'll ever have is yourself. The second worst patient you'll ever have is your spouse. Third worst patient is your own family members. Fourth worst one is your friends, then your acquaintances. And the best patient you get is the person that travels across this world to come see you. So if you open up to the world and allow yourself a global practice, some of the best patients around the world will pay you and stay with you and do amazing things and spread your work around the world. And if you put a global vision together and allow people from around the world to come see you and expand yourself to a celestial view instead of just a local view, the best patients will come, and it won't matter what the economy is in your location, because we're around the world, there's always some location that wants you.
Good.
Thank you.
Actually, I'll jump in there just for a second, and I believe it could have been the same talk I was referring to earlier, Dr. John. You mentioned something that you've just mentioned to Bruce now. If you want to be global, make sure you've got solar system around. And I'll never forget, you can ask my wife, guys, you can ask my wife this. I heard Dr. John say from stage that if you want to be in your country, for instance, you want to be nationwide, you better have something that's global, bigger than nation. And if you want to be global, you better be surrounded by something that's bigger than that, the solar system. And my wife and I went and bought a globe. It's a true story, guys. Went and bought a globe, and I put it in my office immediately after hearing that talk. I literally went online. I went to Amazon. I was like, I'll buy the first globe I can find. And I went and put it in my office where I could see it every day. And I knew that if I was going to be nationwide, I had to at least have global. And I've carried that whole trend on. So Dr. John,
You have clients around the world now.
I do. And actually, my realization after listening to that story was I need to go get more solar systems in my office.
Well, I always say an astronomical vision impacts global impact. So if you're not thinking astronomically, don't expect to have a global effect.
Yeah, no, for sure. So my crew, you can hold me accountable for that. Guys, I just want to say, first of all, Dr. John, I really mean, thank you so much. What an insanely amazing hour. What a gift, what a blessing. You spoke about being in your heart so many times to that, and just being, going through this with you in such an authentic, in such an authentic way. I feel like I'm more in my heart. So guys, just if you can see Dr. John on the screen and he can see you, if you could just give him a wave and a big gratitude and a thank you. And I thank you so much for your time. I know time's so precious, and it's really just such an honor to have you on here. So I really want to be respectful of your time and make sure you're done by the hour. But thank you so much. Guys, please give Dr. John a huge virtual round of applause.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being the hearts, the hands, and the minds making a difference in our profession. I love you. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, Ryan. Thank you. And go get them. Let's go serve more people.
Awesome. Dr. John, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'll finish up with everyone. And I just really appreciate your time again. Thank you so much. Everyone, Dr. John.
Thank you.
Amazing. Wow, incredible. Listen, you are everyone on the call. I just want to say thank you. How many of you guys thought that was amazing? Oh my word. Awesome. So cool. I'm so blessed to have you all here. And I try not to get emotional when I say this, but when I once upon a time realized that I'm very good at connecting people with people. And I always say that my only mission in life is that if I've connected you with one person or introduced you to one person or exposed you to one concept, idea, or theory that has changed your life, then I sleep well at night. That's my thing. I'm good at that. And I really just, I really hope that I just bless you. Thank you so much. But I want to try to finish with some to do, but I'm like literally emotional. Just what an amazing session. I'm so glad you guys got to ask Dr. John. Most of you in my tribe. And so, that's why you're here, and that's my job. It's just to put you in touch with that. I can't tell you the effect it has. One story from today, one thing I forgot about that. I put that globe up in my office when I heard Dr. John say that. If you want to be nationwide, you better put up a globe. So let me see a raise of hands. How many of you are going to go get something bigger that you can stare at in your office like tomorrow? Freaking heck. My wife she's like, please can we throw out this stupid globe? I used to put it there. But anyway, that's my lesson. So listen, here quickly. I want to finish with, I've got 2-3 slides. My tribe in my inner circle group, I'm gonna push you hard. I know you were taking notes. I want you to write down your ahas from tonight in my tribe. Those of you that are not in my tribe and want to find out more about that, reach out. We're here. Those of you who want to find out more about Jack and Infusionsoft, reach out. I'm going to finish with these slides and then we'll finish up. So let's just share my screen again if I can. And then guys, just take some notes. This is it, the last slide, and we'll finish up with this. Okay, take a pen and paper out, some notes. Pen and paper, notes, and here are some action steps for you all. Here is some action steps for you all. Okay, awesome. Cool. So action steps. First of all, immediate action steps. Number one, those of you that have paper files lying around, not on databases anywhere in the world, get them on a database ASAP. If you've got paper files lying around, old files lying around, files that you thought weren't useful anymore, Ed came online. He said he's got new patients. He's got patients coming in that were the last time in the practice was 15 years ago. Dr. John Demartini just said, have you called everyone? Have you contacted everyone? Have you reached out to everyone? Number one thing, mobilize your asset. All assets you have available, by the way. Never a time in the history that's been more important to mobilize all assets you have. Next, immediate actions, write this down. Number one, get database sorted, meaning clean it up, put it onto a list, put it onto something, somewhere, get it up there. Okay. Number two, make sure you've got a CRM. But your EHR is not often enough, not enough, I really believe that. I truly believe that your EHRs are not enough. Your database or your systems that you book people on at the front desk is not enough most of the time. So go and get a CRM, because then you can do tags and behavioral segmentation, etc. Go get one. If you're interested in finding my Infusionsoft, we can help you get that. Just reach out to us. Jack, I forget the exact link for that. Number three, gather lists of inactive and drop-offs. So number three is now go through that list that you're gathering, go get inactives and drop-offs. That's all I want you to do now. Go inactive and drop-offs. Where are they? How many of them, etc. How many people are on a list that have not been into the practice for 3 months? Go get that list right now. Next, split that list into long-standing versus the rest, i.e. high spenders versus the rest. I promise you, if you just follow this, I promise you will reactivate a lot of people. Trust me. right? Split that list of inactives into high spends / your most loyal patients, where they have been in for a while or not, versus the rest. Now you're going to apply the cheat sheet I gave you guys earlier, apply exclusions to that, meaning you're going to remove potential people who are already on a membership, who are on care plans. Let's just go remove that. Just basic. Write your telephone script, because you're going to need it in a moment. By the way, I think there's something attractive about doing the thing prior to getting it, because you're putting that message into the universe that you're going to need that telephone script. Like we had, when we pulled the trigger on our first campaign, this is a true story. I had 8 people waiting. I had 8 people waiting on the phones when I sent the first email. No one could have responded. I think that having 8 people waiting for phones to ring made the phones ring. How many of you ever thought of a patient that hasn't been in for ages and they phoned you within the next 7 days? Like, or they came back. You're like, freaking heck, I haven't thought about that person for ages. Just that one thing that Dr. John said, go memorize 1,000 names. Oh my word, that was gold. Number 7, write email 1 and text 1 and send it. I gave you a bit of a formula for that. Number 2, once you've sent it, apply exclusions to the first list again, because you're going to have reactivations. So apply the exclusions that I gave you to that list. Number 9, write email 2 and text 2 and send 48 hours later. 48 hours later. And then number 10, you want to do that 6 times. You basically want to do what I've just shown you there 6 times. And I guarantee you'll reactivate a ton of people. By the way, if you just do this once, you're going to reactivate a ton of people. And number 11, why I think, I want to be clear, Dr. John Demartini said it now. Anna said it. Ed said it. We said at the beginning of lockdown, I had a call with my inner circle. And I said exact same call I had with you guys today. I said, do more videos, more emails, more. We went from, in my mastermind group, I did 2 calls a month to doing 4 calls a week. We did 4 calls a week, 5 calls a week for 2-3 months. Just do more. I can't even imagine knocking on the door of 2,000 people and introducing yourself. I can't even imagine doing 1,000 practice visits. It's just showing up, right? Anyway, number 11, what Anna and Ed did throughout this whole thing, I saw Brian do it. I saw people on this call do it, do their first videos and 7th videos and 10th videos, and just do more. Just more. Write that down. Just do more, right? But number 11 is the thing that's going to last you past this reactivation campaign, because reactivation is short. What are you going to do to grow the business past this? And just do this one thing for me. And I promise you, if all you do 3 years from now, 4 years from now, see me, whether you do anything with me between then and now, I promise you'll look back at that one habit and say, I started sending an email to my list. There's a formula, by the way, but I started sending an email to my list 3 times a week, and I've done it for the last 5 years. And I guarantee you your practice would have grown tremendously. Cool. So that's my list. Here's a basic copywriting template. I'm going to send this to you guys as a bonus. Pretty cool. Give me a hand up. You think that's pretty cool? I'm going to send it to you as a bonus. This, however, I'm going to send it to you a bonus. This, however, is not the typical. I'm just going to give you, like, if you're looking at offer, it's like bullet points and good subject lines, and there's swipe and deploy. You can copy things in there. You can do whatever you want. But if you look what Anna said and Ed said, it's your life that people are interested in. How are you showing them what you're doing? How are you, your quirkiness, your challenges, your heartaches, your successes, and probably something that Dr. John Demartini said maybe 10 times at least this call was your authentic self. Oh man, I thought that was so powerful. So guys, next workshop. By the way, how many of you learned something tonight? Pretty cool, yes? I love and appreciate you guys. We have hundreds of docs. Stay for the whole thing. I'm so proud of you guys. Wednesday, same time, same place. Brian Tracy, freaking heck. Brian Tracy, how do you get much bigger when it comes to sales and all those? You don't. Some of you are going to be able to ask those same questions, etc. Right? So next workshop, Brian Tracy, same format. I'm going to go through a whole bunch of teaching. I'm going to bring some people that implemented that stuff in their practice. And it's going to be loads of fun. The whole for Wednesday, it's all about changing the practice math, changing the math in your practice, because the times of just flooding the practice with new patients, it's going to be a little bit difficult now. You got to change the math. You better get better. Honestly, I haven't taught too much sales or conversion for years because honestly, we just got very good leads, and the rest took care of itself. You got to be quite good at conversions now. You got to think about sales. You got to make sales a priority. And the word sales stands for service for me. If I just put myself in more, I just know that I don't know how it works. I'll show you guys a little video. You know, when your children ask you how you make money, and I can show you this. My daughter and I have a conversation the other day, and she said to me, "Right, Daddy, I know you're going to work, but how do you make money?" And we said, and I just taught her one little phrase. I said, "Give value first." Give value first, and she can repeat it, right? So I'll show you a little video, but it's very cute. Anyway, guys, next session, conversions and retention we're talking about. It's all because the person that's willing and able to spend the most to acquire a customer wins. I love what Dr. John Demartini said in my tribe. I hope you took note. He was ecstatic. He worked out his return on investment. I talked to 50 people, 5 new patients. 5. Now, imagine traveling across New York City and going 5. And what have I said to my tribe many times? Cherish the 5. Oh, the campaign didn't work, Ryan. I only got 17 new patients. What are you talking about? It didn't work. It freaking worked, right? It didn't work. I only got 5. I had to, yep, I know. That's how John Demartini became a multi-millionaire. 5. Okay. So we'll teach you that in the next one. Okay, great. Those of you that are interested, we've already got, I don't know, it's probably gone up an hour, close to 200 docs who have asked to be notified first when my Relaunch Accelerator Masterclass goes live on Saturday after the session on Saturday. So you want to be on that. We've got Les Brown on that. I'm doing something very different. If you followed me for a while, you'll know that we have anywhere from 50 to 100 people on any one of my live courses. I'm not doing that. We are taking 20, 25 docs max. Why? Because you can see some of the stuff tonight is complicated. It takes challenges. It's going to take my team to get in touch with you. So I'm working with 20 docs. That's it. There's already 182 of you on the list. If you want to be on the list for the people that get notified first, we will send you in the replay. I'll send you a replay of this, by the way. How many people love a replay? Cool, right? You watch that John Demartini thing over and over and freaking kill it. So I'll send you a replay, and in there is a little form you fill out or a little button you click to let me know if you want to be notified first when we go live. I imagine it's going to be sold out within 60 minutes, if that. But 20 people, that's what I'm working with. No more than that. Okay. That's it, guys. That's what I want to say. First of all, just put a camera on me. I just want to say you guys are freaking awesome. You've been on the Secret Success. You show up. We're going on 1 hour and 15 minutes. I love and appreciate you all very, very much. Melissa, thank you so much. Tarveen, Andrew, Mike, Paul, everyone on this call. You're just freaking awesome. My tribe who listen to me for hours and hours and hours and hours, who still support us and me the way you do. I love and appreciate you so much. And I'm just so proud of you all. Thank you so much for doing more and everything like that. So I will love and leave you guys. Go have a rest with your families. Have full hearts. Serve big. All we want to do is contact more people, have more people in our practices, and you'll get through this. So Jonathan, you're welcome. Andrew, you're welcome. Louise Edwards, you're welcome. Indy, Melissa, you're so welcome. Takes a lot to keep people interested for 3 hours. It's the haircut, Melissa. It's the hairstyle. So I love and appreciate you guys. You're awesome. Filippo, everyone, thank you for asking amazing questions. Bruce, everyone like that. In my group, my tribe, in the Inner Circle group, on the Facebook, the members only Facebook page, please put your aha moments from tonight. I love and appreciate you all. Elizabeth will put it in there straight away. I just want to go through the link. If you want to find about Infusionsoft, Jack, put the link up there again. It is joininfusionsoft.com. That's our link. Or that's joininfusionsoft.com, or email jack@dcpracticegrowth.com. jack@dcpracticegrowth.com. You can find out about Infusionsoft. We just certified. We can get you some discounts on it. And then we'll drop a few free apps, free campaigns in there for you. And those of you in the follow-up email, we'll send there'll be a little button if you want to be notified first about the masterclass I'm doing. There'll be a masterclass only with a small 20 people. Then just click on the link and we'll let you know first. Love and appreciate you. I'll let you guys go. Have an amazing evening. Bye, guys.